Hey man, what up with y'all, man? It's Mr. Zach. Just want to say a few words, man. Charlie Kirk, man. God bless you and your family, man. No one should be taken out for saying what they felt, you know what I'm saying, for words. It's just crazy. It's just simply crazy. But we about to get into this, man. We're going to remember Charlie Kirk, man. They just had his memorial service. We're going to do a little replay of that. But before we do that, man, we're going to look at some of these debates that he had on these college campuses that made this man so influential. You got some people that hate some of the things that he say, and you got a lot of people that love what he say. But the people that hate what he say, man, why don't y'all do some research and just really listen instead of looking at a little 10-second clip of what the man said. It's a lot more context than that. So, like I said, man, rest in peace, Charlie Kirk, man. Rest in peace to everybody who has lost their lives over free speech. It is what it is, man. Anyway, man, let's get into this.
We're honored to be partnering with the Alan Jackson Ministries, and today I want to point you to their podcast. It's called Culture and Christianity, the Alan Jackson Podcast. What makes it unique is Pastor Alan's biblical perspective. He takes the truth from the Bible and applies it to issues that we're facing today: gender confusion, abortion, immigration, Doge, Trump, and the White House, issues in the church. He doesn't just discuss the problems. In every episode, he gives practical things we can do to make a difference. His guests have incredible expertise and powerful testimonies. Each episode will make you recognize the power of your faith and how God can use your life to impact our world today. The Culture and Christianity podcast is informative and encouraging. You could find it on YouTube, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any episodes. Alan Jackson Ministries is working hard to bring biblical truth back into our culture. You can find the Culture and Christianity podcast, sermons, and other thought-provoking teachings on our Pastor Alan's YouTube channel at Alan Jackson Ministries. It's a big crowd for California. All right, you guys know how it works. We're going to do questions for a couple hours here. If I really like your answer, you get a hat. We'll be signing hats as well, and God bless you guys. We're going to have a great time. Thank you. Okay, hello, yes.
Hello, my name is Yardo. I have a small YouTube channel. I'm a political commentator as well, much smaller than you are. I just wanted to thank everybody at Turning Point USA, USD for having this debate, and also I would thank the Turning Point USA, San Diego State, because they gave a voice to one of my dear friends who was a victim at the October 7th Nova Music Festival, and his name is Amit Muzai. I really appreciate that you guys did that, and you have my sincere gratitude. I'd also like to quickly state that this is a message for the far left first, and then we'll get into what I highly disagree with you about. But I just read Hassan Piker's New York Times article where he claims that he did not stifle free speech in his chat. I do not believe that's true because I was banned multiple times for having a simple disagreement with him. That is one thing on the right that you guys do far better, is not creating echo chambers, and this is a complete amazing thing that you guys are doing right now. And I just want to let you know, right now, Hassan Piker, I will donate $5,000 to Palestine if you debate me. Now, and I 100% mean that, and I will make sure that that is as public as possible. My question for you, Charlie, is I just want to make it clear, I am against affirmative action. Of course, I do not believe, as a disabled person myself, I do not believe that affirmative action is the entirety of what DEI entails. That being said, I would be fine with DEI gotten rid of if it meant like a true meritocracy in the United States. But why would I trust Donald Trump to create a meritocracy when he himself has appointed the least accomplished and the least, essentially, yeah, perfect word, the least accomplished cabinet in U.S. history, at least in my opinion. If you disagree, I can explain why I feel that way.
Well, first of all, one thing doesn't have to do with the other, but I'm going to reject the premise that it's the least qualified cabinet ever, so we could talk about that. But even if it was just Donald Trump picking his family members, it has nothing to do with the merits of DEI or getting rid of DEI, right? So that's a red herring. They actually have nothing one to do with the other. One's a repeal of a policy. One is your critique of a cabinet. So which one would you rather debate? Would you rather debate DEI and all of its implications or Trump's cabinet? It seems like you have more problems with Trump's cabinet because we actually might be on the same side of meritocracy. So Want to talk about the cabinet? Whichever you prefer.
Yeah, we can talk about it. I personally don't see it as a red herring, but we can talk about that.
Well, yeah, one doesn't have anything to do with the other, right? I mean, you can personally have hypocrisy in your own life and still do really good things in policy, right? It doesn't necessarily equate, right?
Well, I mean, in the way that I see it is that when a lot of people talk about, like when they're talking about their choice to vote for Kamala or Trump instead of Kamala, they talk about the personal aspects of Donald Trump that make them want to trust him, right? A lot of people trust him. You can see the way that people look. I mean, everybody's wearing the MAGA hats. People trust him. Why would I trust him?
Okay. So yeah, that is your contention. So
yeah.
What about his cabinet is unqualified? Let me just ask you a couple examples. So, I mean, Scott Bessent, who's one of the most accomplished bond salesmen and individuals in the hedge fund space ever, right? That's not unqualified. Pete Hegseth, who's actually a frontline warfighter, unlike Lloyd Austin, who never fought a war in his life, right? We have Kristi Noem, who was an accomplished congresswoman and governor from a major state running Department of Homeland Security. You have Howard Lutnick, who's a very famous and well-known financial mind and titan from Wall Street running Cantor Fitzgerald. Marco Rubio, who was a very well-respected U.S. Senator on Foreign Affairs, who's now doing a great job as Secretary of State. So build out your argument why you think this cabinet is unqualified. Seems to me very, very qualified, actually, across the board.
Okay, so the first thing I'm going to start with, I mean, this is the most obvious one, and I have many other examples that I'd like to get into, but Pete Hegseth, you mentioned, I think that is kind of, I don't really understand why you would mention somebody that leaked war chats to a liberal journalist. To me, that doesn't seem like the kind of person that I would want to be.
Well, hold on, time out. He did not leak it. First of all,
he added the person.
The person who actually is responsible was just removed as national security advisor today.
Oh, you mean the person who was the fall guy for Pete Hegseth's problem?
No, he added somebody without his knowledge. But fine.
Okay, so why wouldn't he see him? Why wouldn't he see the person who's in the chat before talking about war policy?
So, time out. Just so we're clear, I'm sure you've been added to group chats with 30 or 40 people sometimes, and you enter in with trust that every acronym is actually a government official. Obviously, that will not happen again. Just so we're clear, Signal was an approved chat by the Biden administration. It's an approved secure channel by
I'm not talking shit on Signal.
However, time out. Let me ask a question about Pete Hegseth. Would you rather have a warfighter or a bureaucrat run the United States military?
I would rather have somebody that doesn't have a history of alcoholism. I'd rather have somebody that... I mean, realistically...
Wow. So do you think how about Mark Milley and Lloyd Austin, were they better at running the U.S. military than Pete Hegseth?
I mean, I think you're going to probably start talking about how there's higher enlistment numbers under
not only
Pete
that.
Hegseth.
So recruitment in the military is up majorly. Thank you, Pete Hegseth. He's doing a pretty good job. Number 2, procurement. We're saving money. Estimates are that we'll save hundreds of billions of dollars in efficiency. War games are up. The amount of war games we're doing in the Southeast Pacific has increased by 30%. This is a military town here in San Diego. They have a massive increase in people wanting to join the Navy, wanting to join the military. That wasn't happening under Biden. The morale is actually 30 points higher now that Pete Hegseth, a warfighter's warfighter, is running the U.S. military.
We have a complete difference. We're never going to agree on this.
Not an agree, but then prove the evidence. What is one number that is worse with the U.S. military now that Pete Hegseth's in control?
The numbers that you're talking about are numbers that I actually actively do not care about, because I think that we have an overly powerful military, and I think too much of our money goes to the military.
No, I know, but tell me one thing he's done, numerically, empirically, judge his performance, right? What is one thing that you could say, wow, the Pentagon is in a worst place because of Pete Hegseth?
I would say his inconsistent foreign policy, where he backs on statements depending on whether or not Donald Trump has heard them or not. Like in the beginning, we were talking about what happened with Ukraine and Russia. Like, they've had disagreements already within the first couple months of the administration.
What? But first of all, the president is the commander-in-chief, so he executes the running of the military.
I'm just saying that
he's the operationals manager, right?
I understand that.
And so when you want a military, you have recruitment going up, you have war games going up, you have morale going up. You have, by the way, how about this? Do you agree that physical fitness standards for men and women should be the same in the U.S. military?
Yes.
Pete Hegseth is to thank for that. He has brought physical fitness standards to be the same for men and women. Lloyd Austin didn't do that. Mark Milley didn't do that. Do you also agree that we should not have transgender pronoun type policing of our military members on the front lines of combat?
See, the thing is
Pete Hegseth has gotten rid of all that, but I'm saying you're trying to make a contention that he's not qualified. Okay. The military is in a much better place thanks to him only after 100 days, man. And that's that is the weakest example of all the ones that you have in the cabinet. You didn't address Rubio, you didn't address Noem, you didn't address Bessent, you didn't address Lutnick, you didn't address Bobby Kennedy, you didn't address all these people. So I have to ask you a question.
I can continue addressing people.
But every one of these departments is in a substantial
financially and an empirically better place than it was.
Okay,
even after
including the
100 days.
Department of Education that's been completely defunded, and somebody who literally
I'm so glad it's being defunded.
Okay, I bet you are, but guess what?
He
Most
ran on
Americans
that.
aren't, and that's
No,
the
not-
reality.
Wrong. Donald
Okay,
Trump.
yeah, just because you have a bunch of
No.
people here saying that
No,
doesn't
hold
mean
on.
that's the
Let
reality.
me prove it to you. Donald Trump ran on a pledge to get rid of the Department of Education. We can agree with that? No, yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. He won a popular vote. The vast majority of people voted knowing that the Department of Education was going to get eliminated.
If you truly believe that the vast majority of people were educated enough about the fact of Donald Trump's opinion
voters
on the
aren't very
Department of-
smart. Now that's what we're going after.
No, I'm simply just responding to what you said. What you said
Insult
is that
the voters. They don't know.
No, I know a lot of people that voted for Trump who had absolutely no idea that he was going to defund the. And of course, this is just an anecdote, but I know that this is the truth. Not everybody, when they vote, looks at every single little thing and every little aspect, like you and I might, of why we would vote for somebody. Like we're both political commentators. It's
Right.
not,
Fine. And as a political commentator, then I will argue more forcefully against you, because now you're not just like a college kid searching for this. Has education in America improved or gotten worse since the Department of Education was formed?
It has literally been 3 months. I have absolutely
since the Department of Education was formed in the 70s. We now have 50 years of evidence. Has American education gotten better since we've had a Department of Education, or has it gotten worse?
I personally don't think that has to do with the Department of Education.
Well, when you've spent over $4.5 trillion with one federal department, and we have 30 schools in Chicago where a fifth grader cannot read at grade level. We have 35 schools in Baltimore where kids cannot do math or reading at grade level. We cannot find a single school, not a single school in downtown Detroit, where by the time they graduate high school in the heavily black areas, that they're proficient in reading or math. We are now like 31st in the industrialized world of education. We spend more in education than almost any other country per capita, and yet our results are worse. Maybe it's because we sent all this money to DC to overly centralize the way we educate, and the Department of Education has been a complete disaster. And so we can go anywhere you want with this discussion.
I'm just going to say one more thing about this and we can move on.
Fine.
And thank you for talking to me for this long. I really appreciate it. But you're talking about like people that are coming from poor backgrounds where education in their families is not a part of the way that they're raised. Of course, they're going to be the ones that have a lower.
No, that's not correct. You
I
see,
highly doubt it.
The competing Catholic schools in the same area that do it for 2/3 less money. Almost all the kids can read by the time they graduate middle school.
And where does that money come from?
Well, sometimes from charter schools, taxpayers, or from private donors. So take, for example, in downtown Chicago or downtown Philadelphia, the private Catholic school can educate a kid for around $12,000 a year. Philadelphia, it's about $30,000 a year, and none of the kids can read. So the local religious schools, they have kids that are less likely to be unruly, less likely to commit crimes. They're more likely to graduate high school and college. They can read and they could do math. And yet the local public school spends triple what the local Catholic school does, and they can't do any of that stuff. Why? Because a government-run program of education has been a failure in this country. And that's what President Trump is doing by abolishing the Department of Education.
Okay, so if there's no public, I'm not saying that the public education system is perfect. I'm saying that having I think the privatization of public things in general is bad, and obviously that's a very.
Why would you say that? So I mean, that's just we can go through the list of that, but
because getting rid of, for example, DEI or getting rid of, and again, I'm not super pro DEI.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in California. I'll put it that way.
I'll try to apply it to yours.
Okay, I grew up in one of the most expensive towns in California.
Okay, Montecito? I don't know, I'm guessing.
Yeah, no, something like that. I don't want to talk because I'm a political commentator. I'm not saying my name, but I will tell you that seeing that we had three 82-inch TVs in my school for a public school when other kids in Compton had absolutely nothing, and I know a big part of that is because...
So why is that? It's property taxes, right? And so, yes, however, let's just get down to the core of it, which is that in San Diego, are the private schools or the public schools more desirable?
It's kind of complicated because we have charter schools that are public, we have like High Tech High. We have
people pay money to go to private school, right? For a reason. So what is our perspective? The money should follow the child. You should have school choice. You should be able to go to whatever the school of your choosing, and it works super well.
But the good private schools that you talk about these ones in Chicago with cherry-picked data. When we're talking about San Diego, they cost about $40,000 a year.
It's not cherry-picked data.
It is cherry-picked data. Talking about a single example of a Catholic school that's publicly funded or funded by donors.
There's hundreds of these examples.
Okay,
right?
hundreds of these examples, but the reality is that the majority of them, you have to pay an exorbitant amount of money in order to get into them.
Right. So then what per capita, per pupil in San Diego, what do you think they charge per student in the public school? Anywhere between $25,000 to $35,000.
I have no idea, and I don't think that it has anything to do with the debate we're having.
No, it has everything to do with it. And I'll just close with this. So there's 21 million people that work for the government in this country, 11 million education, 11 million in education. How many of the 11 million do you think are teachers?
I see, you're just coming up. Look,
no,
can you repeat your question? Because I thought we were going to continue, because we barely talked about anything I want to talk about.
Well, no, I mean, we did freewheeling. That's what this is, right? So there's 11 million people that work in education in America. How many would you guess are teachers?
I'm assuming that it's very bloated, and I'm just going to guess that 2 million are teachers.
Yeah, it's about 2 to 3. It's like 3.5 to 4 million. So that means that 7 million people that work in education are unnecessary administrators and paper pushers. And why is that important? Because we've not been funding teachers or education the last 30 years. We've been funding unnecessarily bureaucracy in our education the last 30 or 40 years. And President Trump goes to abolish it. Thank you for your time. I got to get to the next question. Thank you. Hello.
Hi. My name's Ellie. Overall, just to go into my question, I am conservative. So going into this, I was like, what should I ask you about? I think overall, I was going through different policies, and in general, I agree. Ultimately, I think the topic of my question is how to approach politics in school and in general with this function. I've found that a lot of times, when I talk to people who are on the other side of me, they are surprised to find out what I think, and my ideas are not that crazy. It's like, when you actually get into the meat of it, it's like, oh, actually, maybe it does make sense. And so I think it's really valuable to start giving these ideas to the world. And so this is one of these options, but I guess my question is this the best way? Because when I hear, like, for example, on Reddit, they're like, don't approach him, don't do this, he's just doing that, he's doing this, he's doing that, he's using all these tactics. And so I wonder if you've considered, not to say that this is a bad way to go about it, but if there's maybe a slightly better way, because I think what you're saying has a lot of value in this world, but it's like in this school specifically, it is thought of as evil and as like not like a valid way to think.
That's a UC San Diego problem, not a Charlie Kirk problem, right?
No, and it's not, and it's not to say it's a problem of you. No.
And I meaning, like, I read there was some op-ed journalists where they said ignore Charlie, ignore him. Well, what they're saying is that they are not either smart enough or they're not intellectually mature enough to have a discussion with a conservative on any issue. I have literally almost no notes. I have like a couple charts to show you if the topics come up. You guys can use AI, you guys can use Grok, you could do whatever you want. You could bring a professor, you could bring 5 of your top libs together, debate me, right?
Yeah.
Other side? Okay, thank you. And you guys can debate me at any time. I fail to understand why, well, actually I know the reason. Speech is not a left-wing value. And they do not believe in freedom of speech, they believe in totalitarian control. There are exceptions to that. So if they have a problem, I think this is one of the best ways, not the best way. I literally could not be more open to disagreement. I say if you disagree, you go to the front of the line.
Yeah.
And I mean, how often do you as conservatives get a chance to challenge liberals on campus, right, and being welcomed? Ever?
Oh, absolutely, almost never. Definitely
because
not in class.
Because speech is not a left-wing value.
No, but to say that, I mean, with all of that being said, it is very true. But ultimately, what happens here is I see a lot of, like, the ideas just being like bubbled against, and so like when I talk to my friends, their ideas aren't changed from these conversations, and so I wonder if there's just like a.
You would be surprised. I'm sorry to interrupt. Mm-hmm. What happens here gets seen hundreds of millions of times on social media.
Absolutely, yes.
The crowds are growing, and so look, some people are going to remain closed-minded. They're not going to, have their horizons open, but that's on them, right? They have to actually want to pursue the truth and not just have their own worldview confirmed.
And then I guess that's where I disagree, because I think fundamentally there is truth within anything, and I believe that maybe I would ask you like to say to see that like you have a big role in this. You have a big fan base and a big media base that you are making incredible change, and to take it just one step further would be really trying to push the narrative against this being like a place where people are just like debating. It's more than that.
What would you like to see?
I guess maybe it's more of a question. I guess, I don't know, moving forward, like trying to maybe to see that like instead of using these really fast tactics and to really like try to bring it down, not to say someone is, not to say that they're, no.
I disagree with all that. That's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, you're thinking way too much about libs on Reddit. I care about normal people, so.
No,
yeah.
But
I mean, you did bring up Reddit. I'm sorry. You're like.
No, I guess that's true. No, and I guess
so
maybe.
These people are not well socially adjusted, right? I talk to the 90% of the American people that actually want to make something of their life and have kids and.
No, and I couldn't agree more with that like stance. I guess maybe stepping away from Reddit, it's to me the people on this campus. This is a school I go to, and almost everyone I'm surrounded with has a completely different view from me, and
Not everybody.
No, and this is like, but this like the people here, to find them, it feels like you're like sifting through a needle in a haystack.
You want a hat?
Sure.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next question. Disagreements, come to the front of the line. Yes.
So I have a couple points that I want to talk about in illegal immigration. Is it okay if I say all of them with no interruption? Okay, cool. So first, illegal immigrants power our economy. They're 50% of U.S. farm workers, harvesting the food on our tables, and fill 70% of construction jobs in states like Texas. They pay $13 billion annually in taxes, including $2 billion to Social Security that they can't claim. Deporting them would slash agricultural output by $60 billion and raise food prices by 6%. Why gut our farms and wallets when these workers fuel our prosperity? That's my first point. Second point, they strengthen our communities with lower crime rates. So in Texas, undocumented immigrants have a 26% lower homicide conviction rates. Which is 2.2 per 100,000 versus 3 for native-born citizens. Nationally, immigrants are incarcerated at half the rate of native-born, where it's 0.85% versus 1.71%. That's according to Bureau of Justice Statistics from 2019. So if safety is your goal, why deport people who make our streets safer? This is my third point. Mass deportation tears apart American families. Over 4.4 million U.S. citizens children have an undocumented parent, and in Texas, 1 in 7 kids lives in a mixed status household. Okay, this is my fourth point. Deportation is a fiscal nightmare. Removing 11 million people would cost $315 to $400 billion, more than the entire Homeland Security budget, and shrink our GDP by 1.7 trillion over 10 years. And this is my last point. Our immigration system is broken, pushing people to cross illegally. Visa waits Mexicans can exceed 20 years, and the asylum blockage is 1.3 million cases, with hearings 4 to 6 years out. Okay.
You done?
That's pretty much it. Yeah.
All right, so without looking at the phone, look at me. What should the penalty be for breaking into America?
I think there should be a system where it's more merit-based. So if this person...
No, penalty. So what is the penalty? So what should happen to you?
Felony. It's not a felony, it's a misdemeanor.
No, it is. That's not true. It's 8 U.S.C. 1312. You can look it up right now.
It's a felony if it's done twice. If you try to cross the border, that is correct.
That is not correct.
I Googled it, dude.
To illegally go across the southern border with the well intent to come into harbor yourself into the interior of the United States, the violation of 8 U.S.C. 1312, which is a felony in the federal criminal code. Now, it can be enforced as a misdemeanor, or it can be upwards to 5 years in prison. Okay. Now, I want to know, since it's a felony, law in the books, 8 U.S.C. 1312, what should the penalty be?
Well, in my opinion, these kinds of laws are usually they're what do you call it? They're sorry. Usually the sorry. Wait, sorry. Can I check my phone real quick? I apologize. Can you repeat the question? Sorry.
What should the penalty be,
Okay.
for someone that breaks or comes into America illegally? What should the penalty be?
I think there should be a merit system where the people. Okay, the
Not
penalty.
answer.
All right, let's.
That's
penalty.
not the
So-
answer. It's a very simple moral
Okay.
and legal question.
Okay,
What
sure.
should the penalty be if you come into America illegally?
Okay, so since it's a misdemeanor, not a felony, misdemeanors
I
are.
just told you it's
true,
not 8.
dude.
You can look up on
That's
your
not
chat
true.
GPT what is
Yeah,
8
yeah.
USC. Look up what is 8 USC 1312.
No, I know. I've already looked it up.
Yes,
When it's your second time crossing the border illegally, then it becomes a felony.
it can be, and it is enforced as a felony, and it usually is done as a misdemeanor citation because no one has the stones to do 20 million felony applications.
Okay.
So I just want to ask,
Yeah.
what should the penalty be then for someone that comes into this country illegally?
Usually there's 3 ways that go about this when there's a penalty. There's either like a fine, or there's some kind of like public service that this person does, or you send them back. But
Send them back. I agree. That's what we should do.
Okay. So this is interesting. So one of the statistics that I read said that illegal immigrants don't cause as much like they don't break the law as often as people who are native born.
Well, hold on, time out.
That is a statistic.
But
time out.
But
dude.
every single one of them are criminals. They're all criminals.
Okay, sure. By law.
Well, hold
by
on.
law.
No.
No, by law. Of course.
But
Of course they are.
wait, so
I
if
agree
they commit less crime and they're all criminals, wait a
Okay,
second.
so
By
you're basing
definition,
it- yeah.
they all have broken the law by being here, and they break
Okay.
the law every day by staying here because you're
Okay.
actually not allowed to stay here either. Do you know that?
Yeah,
so
yeah,
every
yeah.
day you're here, you're actually continually breaking the law. You can't break in or harbor. That's what the federal law says.
Okay.
So by breaking in, it's not just the only law they broke. Every second you remain here, you're also
Yeah.
breaking the law. So that statistic is invalidated by just them breathing here. They're breaking the law.
No, of course not. Of course not. So, of course, it makes sense for them when they're here. They're breaking the law because they're illegal immigrants, obviously. But once they're of course. So once they're here, once they are here, what kind of harm are they actually doing? When you look at the numbers statistically,
lot.
No, that's not true. Okay,
Black
so look,
wages have
in
gone
Texas,
down.
Okay, in Texas,
DUIs have gone up dramatically.
Try not to interrupt, bro.
Well,
okay,
hold
so,
on. I'm interjecting, and I let you go uninterrupted with your whole soliloquy,
true,
right?
yeah, thank you.
So let me ask you a question now.
Okay.
So, if it is correct
Yeah.
that illegal aliens commit less crimes, which of course it's not correct.
That is correct. Look it up. In
but
Texas, they made a study in 2019. 26% are
is
lower.
any crime? It's just not correct. But I'm
That
not
is
going to debate that.
correct,
It's I just proved it at its face because they commit a crime by being here every day. That is a crime.
Okay, once they are here, what kind of crimes are they committing? Which is
Okay. Well,
they're 26%.
Okay. Do you know the name
less.
Laken Riley?
No, educate me.
Oh, you don't.
No.
Do you know? Wow. Do you know the name Rachel Morin?
No, I don't.
Wow.
Wait, educate
Okay.
me. What
So
kind of...
Laken Riley was a girl at the University of Georgia.
Okay.
There was a peeping Tom, illegal alien, that was deported 5 times prior, and Biden kept on letting him back in. He hunted her down, raped her, sodomized her, and murdered her on a hiking trail, University of Georgia.
Okay, so
Rachel,
one person doesn't represent
hold
all
on a
illegal
second.
immigrants.
Every person who is killed by an illegal alien is one that should not happen. Every single one.
Of course, and also the ones that are native born.
Everyone.
As
And
well
so
as
that's
the
the
ones who are
point.
native born.
Is that it's not a matter
As well
of the
as people who are
rate.
native born.
The rate, even if I accept your premise, which is incorrect, the rate is irrelevant. The number is what's relevant. There should be 0 illegal aliens. There should be 0 Americans being killed by illegals.
So, okay.
Not to mention there's 6 other problems with illegal aliens. They steal social security numbers. They depress wages. They are heavily involved. By the way, not to mention, a lot of people that cross on the southern border are also smuggling girls, weapons, and drugs alongside the southern border when they come. It's the largest slavery operation in American history that many illegal aliens help make possible on the southern border. And I guess the final question I'll have is, should a government serve its citizens first and foremost?
Yeah, of course. Well, okay, there's been many people who are like very political leaders who have said that this place is built off of immigrants.
Oh, is it? Wait, hold on. Let's think about that.
Sure.
First of all, it's legal, not illegal. But was America founded by immigrants or settlers?
Settlers.
That's not an immigrant.
Yeah. Okay.
An
Well, that's not
immigrant
my
is-
point. My point is that
Just
people
brought
who-
up the nation built by immigrants.
Yeah,
we're actually not.
because the political leaders have said that this place is built.
Yeah, and they're
from
wrong.
They're wrong. Political
Yes.
leaders are wrong. George
Yes.
W. Bush is wrong. All these political leaders who have built America is
By the way, the
wrong.
first person to say that was
How is that wrong? When
Hold
illegal
on, 'cause
immigrants they grow the economy.
Okay,
Statistically,
allow me
studies.
again. Allow me to build it out for you.
Sure.
Immigrants have helped at times in American history, but we are first and foremost a nation founded by settlers. Immigrants come to a country already built. Settlers come to a barren place and build something new.
Right.
This land was barren when people came. In the 1840s gold rush, this was not an easy place to live.
Yeah.
California was not exactly industrialized. There was not immigrants coming west to California. Those were settlers building a new place around, Western values. Finally, I would just ask the question, do you see a moral distinction between a legal immigrant and an illegal immigrant?
Well, the argument is that they're cutting in line. Like, the argument is that they're cutting in line in the 20-year process that it would take for someone to cross illegally.
It's not 20, but yeah.
At most it's 20. At most it's 20. Right now there's around like 1.2 million people who are currently waiting that would take 6 to 7 years for a hearing.
And by the way, no one has a right to come to this country, just to be clear.
Let me stay on track of what I was going to say. Okay, so people who come here, usually, almost all the time when they come here, they benefit society. They benefit society. There's studies that have done this.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily, but overall in general.
But no, I fundamentally disagree with that.
You can't disagree with a fact.
Hold on. Do you think Ilhan Omar has enriched the United States of America?
I don't know who.
Do you think Rashida Tlaib? I mean, I could go through person by person by person.
Sorry, I don't know these people. Are these people who have are illegal immigrants that have caused harm?
Yeah, again, if you don't know, I don't mean to pick on you. It's fine.
Okay,
but I guess the final question is,
sure.
Do you have any concern that there are too many people coming into this country and we're a nation of strangers, not a nation of neighbors?
If the people who are coming are creating America, making it more growing, like the economy is growing, then what harm is that doing? Especially if the people who are coming are not...
Because we're more than an economy, though, aren't we? We're a culture, we're a language,
yeah,
we're a
of course.
people.
Okay, so let's talk about that front. When they come here, they don't have any kind of... They're not committing as more crimes than the people who are already here. Again, that is a statistic.
We've already dispelled that, but
that is not. You can't dispel a statistic.
Let's
take
California.
You can't.
Do you think there's anything wrong that a majority of young people in California speak Spanish, not English?
Wait, sorry. Can you see the?
Do you think there's anything wrong or troubling to the fact that a majority of people under the age of 30 here in this state speak Spanish, not English? Is there a problem with that?
Well, yeah. Everyone should be able to have a ability to communicate with the rest of the crowd. So I don't know what the big issue of that.
See, I think it's a huge problem when we have a nation where you can't communicate with your fellow neighbor.
Simple solution: teach them how to speak English. What is your point?
Yeah, and our schools don't do that actually. And also, have a better solution.
Yeah.
Don't import a bunch of people that don't speak English.
You mean importing people who actually grow the economy?
Well,
who don't
reject.
What?
I reject your premise.
That's not a premise. That's a study that's been done.
Do you know what a premise is? I don't actually care as much about economic growth because we're one nation under. We're one nation under GDP. We're not one nation under GDP. We're a nation under God.
Yeah.
And when we lose social cohesion, and you import a bunch of people that don't share our values, that don't necessarily always assimilate, that's a major and serious problem. And we are a people first and foremost with a creed, and that creed is falling apart. Mass migration has not helped that creed. Yes, they might buy more trinkets. They might help depress wages. Mass migration, of course, can help.
All good things, all great things for America that needs.
Well, they help major corporations, but you know what they also do? They keep down the wages of working people. If you are a plumber, yes, of course. If you think about it, if you're a plumber, electrician, or a welder, and you have to compete against someone from Nicaragua who's willing to do it for $5 less an hour, that depresses the wages of the American citizen.
Right. Yeah. So there's been studies that have done that also counteract that. Illegal immigrants.
Well, let's use our reason.
Let's use our reason. Our studies.
Let's use our reason.
How about statistics?
How about our reason? So we've had mass migration for 20 years. Have wages gone up?
I don't know.
No, they haven't actually.
No, okay.
So forget your studies. For 10 years we've had 30 million people come into America. Wages have gone down dramatically.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a reason why.
Okay.
So what I encourage you to do, just because there's a study that confirms, you should use your reason and look actually at self-evident truths. Be like, does that make sense? Can you name
statistics are self-evident?
Well,
truths.
not always. Statistics
not
are very
always?
misleading. Yes, like for example, I could say, did you know that 600 people a year die because of seatbelts? Well, that's a misleading statistic because over 100,000 lives are saved by seatbelts. That's an incomplete statistic.
Wait, okay, so so that's a gray area. So where's the gray area where people are talking about where 26% of illegal immigrants who come here commit less crimes than native born?
Okay, we have, how many times have we been over this? That's just not correct.
Well, that is correct. That is correct.
Every single crime. It doesn't matter about the rate.
This is a study that was done in Texas, the most diverse, second most diverse state.
Every crime an illegal commits is one that should never have happened.
Okay.
It is a period.
Yeah, of course,
they should not be here. So I don't care about the rate. The rate is irrelevant. So let me just ask one final question.
The rate is relevant.
Someone broke into the country and cut in line. What should happen to them?
Well, they're given. Ideally, there's a system. Ideally, there's a system that's merit-based, where these people then become part of the citizen. Like they become a legal citizen.
Yeah, I mean, we have clarity but not agreement. I say deport them all back to their country of origin and put Americans first.
That's not an appropriate solution.
Well, the
no.
American people voted for it, and it is appropriate.
It isn't appropriate because most of the people that do come here illegally contribute positively to society. Dude. Statistically. Everything backs this.
You're not listening to anything I'm saying, and that's fine. They take jobs from Americans. They depress wages. They steal Social Security numbers. They commit a crime every single day that they're here. They flood our public schools. They flood our social services. They flood our hospitals. They are a burden on the taxpayer. They should go back and make their own country great again and apply and become a legal immigrant if they want to live here. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next question, yeah. Hi. Wow, that's aggressive.
All right.
Okay, jeez.
Perfect.
Get that guy a Valium or something. Xanax. Jeez.
We good? All right. Good morning. So I am conservative, but there is one thing that I did want to debate you on. So you say that college is a scam and that so many students go hundreds of thousands in debt and useless degrees. I completely agree with that. My question is, why is it on the institutions and colleges and not on the students, since we as conservatives always focus on personal responsibility? When a quick
That's
Google
a great
search,
question. Yeah, it should also be on the students as well.
All right. Is there any thing about the universities and the universities should be doing then, since it is a capitalist society and they are trying to get profits?
Yeah, I think that, I mean, I don't know what the endowment is here, but I think that the endowment should be used to help repay kids' student loans that they scammed. I think the fact that Harvard is sitting on $55 billion, I think that we should take the endowment money from places like Harvard, Princeton, and Yale and help kids pay off their student loans because they've been so severely scammed by the system.
And what can students do? I mean, there's Google, there's tons of things that I think personal responsibility is a huge issue that a lot of students that I know are blaming it on the universities when they pick degrees that don't have much money or job opportunity or things like that. What should students be doing?
Say that again, sorry.
What should students be doing since it is a personal responsibility? And a lot of students are blaming the universities and colleges for tricking them when a quick Google search would suffice.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, again, that's why I don't think as many people should be going to college.
Yeah,
and so, yeah.
All right, thank you.
I'll sign your hat. Thank you. Yep. All right, disagreements, you guys can come up. Yep. Yes, if you guys disagree, come on to the front. Come on.
Hi, Charlie. Thank you so much for coming here. I think it's really good that you come to campuses and talk to people who disagree with you. I also think it's like a testament, like you've like gotten a really big following, and it's a testament to the fact that capitalism works and merit-based societies work, that we can actually grow our influence. And yeah, so I agree with you with a lot of things, but I do disagree with you with like 2 or 3 particular points. And I hope to like go touch on all of them. Firstly, it's about morality and the fact that your claim that objective morality exists. I disagree with that. I think morality is relative for everyone or subjective, and it kind of like grows as with the culture and as the culture changes. So yeah, what are your thoughts about that, and how do you justify objective morality?
Sure. Do you believe in absolute truth?
What do you mean by absolute truth?
Absolute truth, like that there is truth absolute for all people.
Yes.
You do? Okay, that's objective morality.
That's objective facts. I won't say that's morality.
Okay, so do I have permission to ask you a provocative question?
Sure. I know what you're going to ask.
Okay, fine. I mean, was Hitler objectively wrong?
No. So, I do...
What was the Holocaust objectively evil?
I want to like make a distinction between like my personal views that I do feel that it is wrong, but I can't say that it is like objectively wrong because I don't believe that objective morality exists. Like why can I ask you like why do you think objective morality exists, and how do you like ground that objective morality in?
Well, first, of course, we believe that the Lord of the heavens and the earth gave us that objective reality through revelation.
Okay.
But secondly, we believe it's written on the heart of every human. You know, in Nuremberg, it's very interesting. When they did the Nuremberg trials, and the Nazis basically said, well, in our country it was right, therefore it's right. Do you know that in Nuremberg they rejected that? They said, no, every human being knows that killing 6 million, babies and kids is wrong. And so do you think there's anything built into us of a moral compass that prevents us from doing evil and we have to try to stifle it?
I think there are moral intuitions that everyone has, but again, like those moral intuitions can differ from person to person, right? Like I might say that, I don't know, like doing something is wrong, but like someone else might say, oh, it's fine in this situation. So like, how do you distinguish? Like, so it's obviously subjective, right? Like everyone might have their own opinions on what is right and what is wrong. So how do you how do you make a framework that says that, like, these are the rules of what is right and what is wrong, and like how do you ground
The
that?
more important question is, do you believe in God? Which I guess you do not.
I'm agnostic. Like,
Okay, so that's where, so if you don't believe in, this actually, what's your name? Sorry.
Abhinav.
Yeah, well, you're making a great argument. And your argument is totally correct, which is that if you don't believe in God, then you cannot say that the Holocaust was wrong. In order to believe that, in order to believe something is objectively wrong, you must believe in God. Because if you believe in God, then you believe that there's a transcendent moral order that is over all of us. And you're proving that point, and it's not even a criticism. You are being consistent.
Okay.
And to your point, which is that, so we believe that there is a God that has rules for life. We believe that was given to Moses primarily at Mount Sinai. Thou shalt not murder, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not commit adultery. And that every society and every culture lives under that natural law. And so, but it's very interesting that if we get away from the idea of a belief in God and the transcendent, you can see how dangerous that is for society, right?
I wouldn't say it's dangerous because it really depends on what the morals the society adopts and like what their constitution is, what their values are. I don't know why that needs to be grounded in religion.
Well, so let me ask, okay, so would you say that murder is bad? Yes?
I would say that.
By what standard do you measure bad?
I would say that like it's based on my environment, how I was raised, like what my cultural beliefs are, like how everyone else like's morality has influenced my morality. So it's like I believe that it's like, for example, like I think you brought this up in some other debate that like some tribes might like are okay with child sacrifice or cannibalism or things like that, right? So for them that is okay. For me, it's not, right? It really depends on what society we grow up in, I think.
Yeah. So child sacrifice is not something you think that is objectively wrong.
I'm just trying to understand how do I
Let's
ground
pay attention
objective.
up here, guys. Thanks.
How do we ground what is objective? And also you brought up a point that like if you do believe in God, then we do have objective morality, right? And you obviously believe in Christianity. But my point is like if, for example, a different religion has different morals, how do you determine which one is objective? Because both will think that it's objective, right? So how do you make that determination?
It's a great question. Well, first you have to look at, there's just a side show going on here. You have to look at the proof and the fruit of which that moral system has delivered.
Okay.
And so, are you from India? I don't mean to,
yeah,
okay.
I'm from Delhi.
Can I ask you a provocative question? I don't mean to offend you by any way, but
Sure.
do you think that the moral system of India or the moral system of America, which is better?
What do you mean by moral system? Like, can
Caste
you give me
system.
some? Yeah, I disagree with the caste system.
Got it. So you disagree with it, but is there something objectively evil and wrong with saying that 200 million people are permanently in poverty?
Again, I want to ask you like how do we ground objectivity? Like what, like for example, like for scientific theories, like we can like conduct experiments and say, okay, it's objectively true. But like for morality, like it depends person to, like for example, people living in India at that time, for them it might have been okay, right? So like how do we ground the objectivity? Like
you have to believe in God. You have to believe in a power, more specifically a monotheistic one.
Okay, why is that?
Well, because if you have many gods, polytheism, you have many moralities. And if one God, one morality. So that's why ethical monotheism founded America. And so of course it's a faith claim in some ways, but we can use science also to get us pretty close to believing in God. From space, time, and matter, from the teleological argument for God, for how all the fine tuning of our universe exists. But then in order, once you believe in a God, then you can then say there's an objective morality. If you don't believe in God, your position is correct. It's all just context.
I do disagree with one thing that like because there are multiple religions, right? Multiple monotheistic religions. So how do you determine which monotheistic religion is true?
So, well, why is mine true? Because because the resurrection is the most documented, followed, and proven fact of history. Of all the different things, is that the resurrection of Jesus Christ is by far the most compelling event in human history besides the creation of the world. Is that we know Jesus existed, we know that he was killed, we have extra biblical sources that prove it, from Josephus, from the Talmud, to the historians of the day, and there are so many facts surrounding the resurrection that cannot be explained other than that Jesus actually rose from the dead. From why use female witnesses, we know that he was in the tomb of Joseph of Arimathea, we know that the tomb was empty. Where did Jesus' body go? For example, if you wanted to disprove Christianity, why didn't they just march through the streets with Jesus' corpse and say, nope, actually he is not risen from the dead, here he is right now. From all these different elements, we stake all of our chips as Christians into the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Amongst many other things, that the Bible is materially true every time that we do an archaeological discovery in the Middle East. The more that we discover, the more that we search in the Middle East, the more we find out that the Bible is true.
Okay, so your belief is basically based on the truth value of Christianity, basically, right? And like the fact that like you believe that your religion is true, and therefore that's where you derive your morality from, right?
Partially, yes,
Okay.
but even before that, you don't have to believe in the resurrection to believe in God.
Okay.
You can believe in God and not believe in the resurrection.
So
but
if
you
I-
asked me why I believe in Christianity.
So, for example, there are a lot of arguments, for example, the cosmological argument or teleological argument that you mentioned, which do not really do not refer to like a particular God, right? It just refers to God in general.
Correct.
So
And-
how do you derive morality from just the existence of God without associating it with a particular religion?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So you can use reason that if there is a God, then God would want us to live a certain way. And which way is best, which way is most efficacious. This is not my argument for it, but this would be a more deistic morality
Okay.
that some of the founding fathers had, that if there is a God, well then he probably wouldn't want us to screw up this place too much. He wouldn't want us to hurt each other, right? You can use your reason to get to that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And it's not a perfect fit. The Christian answer is a far better one, right? And a lot of what we consider to be correct moral thinking is rooted from a belief in objective morality.
That's fine, but like then you would have to contend with things like the problem of evil, right? Because that would be like a problem, right? Because like, for example, the Christian theistic, like the God is like all good, right? But
Yes, but sorry to interrupt, but atheists have a problem of evil too. Do you know what the problem of evil
What
is
is
for the
that?
atheists? They can't tell us what evil is.
that is
Right?
true. Yeah.
That is true.
Yeah.
So we have a problem of evil, which is to explain evil. We struggle with that. Atheists have a problem with evil, which is they can't tell us what is evil or good.
But that's because they don't believe in objective.
Exactly. So, but that's a bigger problem. So they can't even use the problem of evil against us because by what definition do they consider something evil? They can use a problem of suffering
Yeah.
because suffering is objectively measured, right? Pain or struggle. So yeah, I mean, look, the problem of evil, I don't have a great answer. I'm not going to like give an answer that no one's ever given. Evil actually, you could argue, is an absence of a good thing. Evil itself does not necessarily exist. It's just the absence of good, the same way that dark is the absence of life. But look, we as Christians, we have a couple things that are very hard to answer, right? Problem of evil and like why kids die. I mean, amongst many other things, right? Atheists have to explain everything else. They have to explain why we're here, how the earth was created, love, mercy, justice, forgiveness, everlasting life. And so we do have an answer in the Christian faith that God uses all things for good for those who loves him. God works in mysterious ways is the old thing that we say. But also we also believe in original sin. But all of that actually appeals that there is a transcendent good. Evil itself does not disprove God. It might question what you think of God and the nature of God, but itself does not necessarily disprove it.
Okay, thank you. I did have like one more point.
Yeah, and then we'll get to the next question. Very good though.
Very quickly, like you mentioned that the previous person also talked about, you believe that like university is a scam, right? I just wanted to like ask you specifically, like what aspects do you think are a scam? Like, do you think all majors are a scam, all universities are a scam?
Not necessarily, but I mean, half the kids in this audience, if they get a job they'll end up getting a job that does not require a college degree. So and I mean, you think about that. I mean, by the way, the national graduation rate's only 59%. 41% of people that enter college do not graduate. So
I do agree with you that the tuition part of it can like nowadays, like on the internet you can find almost any information. Yep. I do believe that like the utility of universities is the networking that you can do with peers as well as like industry professionals, and also the resources that universities provide, especially for the STEM subjects. And I wanted to ask you, like, since you
really quick, yep.
Yeah, last question. I wanted to ask you, like, since you did not like go to university and like you built this entire big organization yourself, how did you tackle those networking challenges, and like how did you like step by step build up to this?
Phenomenal question. You find somebody you want to go meet and you go find them. You don't need to go to college to meet important people. You literally can be like, okay, what do I want to do? Who's the best person in my local area? Find out what charities are involved. Call their office. Show up at their office. You'd be amazed at how many people are willing to work with you and meet you, but you don't need to necessarily go to college to be able to do that networking opportunity. Thank you so much. Very good. Do you want a hat? Yeah. Okay, thank you. Excellent questions. Very thoughtful, my friend. Thank you. That's how it should be. Give it up for him. That was really good, everybody. All right, next question.
All right. So I would like to ask you about for abortions, right? How do we explain to those who are for it? How do we explain that even, I don't know if you believe this or not, but in terms of like a rape or unintentional or really unconsented pregnancies, can we say that we should still be anti-abortion in that scenario?
Yes.
What's your grounds for that? And how would I explain it to someone else?
Sure, it's a good question. Let's say I have two ultrasounds here. One is an ultrasound of a baby from a loving marriage. The other one is a baby conceived in rape. Which one is which?
We can't exactly tell.
So they're both human beings?
Right.
They both deserve human rights.
Okay. But then what is if someone pushes back against with the idea... Do I...
Closer, yeah.
Oh. What happens if someone pushes back with the idea that now, in terms of the mother, right, one of them was willingly conceived while the other one was a forced conceived?
Yeah, I mean, that's a fair argument. The question then should be, when, if ever, in your moral universe, is it okay to do something evil after an evil act to try to make that evil act correct?
But how about in terms of, what if we're in the position of the mother, and she is, I don't want to take the risk of illness, death, or whatever to have this child.
Sure, so it's a little bit of a false choice because they're acting as if the termination of the pregnancy will have no consequences or costs. A lot of women that get abortions have regret. Women die when they get abortions. They have a lot of other health issues. It's not just like getting a haircut. So it's a little bit of a false choice. But we come after it from a very basic moral argument. There are two lives involved. There's a little life and a grown life. And no one has the right to eliminate a human life in utero, period.
So then at that point, now we're forcing someone to do something that they never consented to, never wanted to do. How isn't this violating their human autonomy?
Well, again, but eliminating the human being would also violate the baby's autonomy too, wouldn't it?
Well, then we would have to ask, right? Maybe in future years we will have the technology to be able to extract a fetus and grow a fetus outside of the uterus, but given our state of medicine right now, we do not have that.
Sure. I mean, but again, no one is delighting or rejoicing in these circumstances. I mean, it's a terrible situation. I want to reiterate that. But you have a unspeakably difficult choice that is very morally, clear though, which is that you don't eliminate a human being because an awful action happened.
Are you saying that as someone who can get... Well, I guess my pushback against that would be then if we say that it's entirely wrong, right? We're sacrificing someone's choice for someone's life, which is admirable, but...
It's also morally correct. You don't get to murder someone smaller than you if it makes your life difficult.
But then we can't exactly... see, the fetus does not have autonomy. It cannot exist outside of the uterus
Doesn't
quite
matter.
yet.
Human dignity does not correlate with dependency. So dignity and dependency are not two things corrected. You have human dignity because you're a human being, not because how dependent you are.
So would you say that viability happens when...
Viability is irrelevant.
So then, at what point does human life begin then?
Conception.
Conception, not even sperm or
That's conception.
eggs? Okay.
That's conception. That's
Well, I
when
just wanted to get
when an
that
egg is
base-
fertilized. When an egg is fertilized, human life begins.
Okay, so then when it's still a single cell with both chromosomes pairings, right?
Well, it creates new DNA, right? So once the sperm and egg meet, literally something magical and inexplicable happens, where new DNA is formed.
Okay, and then what happens? So then...
Then it attaches to the uterine wall, and I can go through the whole gestational process. But.
All right, so then we have the basis of human life. Now, what is if within the uterus, now that life is still alive, but is unable to proceed to, like, let's say, actual birth due to some medical situation that has happened?
Well, has the baby died without outside intervention or with outside intervention?
Let's say that
is it an ectopic pregnancy or what? You got to be very clear about the type of.
The amniotic sac has ruptured.
That's an ectopic pregnancy, right? So yeah, you can remove the baby from that situation without aborting it. The baby will die outside of the womb, but you
Right.
do not have to abort it. So those are two different things. The removal of a baby is what's called the cesarean section. You can do that very early on. Now, ectopic pregnancy is very real. It's very terrible, but you can solve an ectopic pregnancy outside of having an abortion.
But, okay, so then what creates an abortion? Is it the heartbeat, the removal of the fetus? What exactly
Well,
is
so
that?
I don't want to go too deep in this. Do you know what happens in an abortion? I mean, maybe you don't. They literally will break the back of the baby's skull, right? They will insert to the back a syringe of cyanide poisoning until the baby no longer. I mean, this is one of the most gruesome things. Everyone who's pro-choice, in my opinion, has a moral obligation to watch a video of an abortion just to know kind of what you're supporting. It's so beyond inexplicable. But yeah, look, really quick, what's the final question on this? Because I want to keep moving.
Oh, sure. So you didn't really finish the question of when can we do that procedure, right? If there's still a heartbeat,
I don't think we should ever do that procedure.
what happens if, like, now the mother's life is going to die in, like, the next 15 minutes, but the baby is still having a heartbeat? What do we do at that point?
It depends on, again, I don't want to speak to every specific. Some OBGYNs say abortion is never medically necessary. I'm not a professional enough to say that. But it depends how far advanced the woman is. If she's past 22 weeks, have a cesarean section. Try to have the baby live in NICU.
So there are situations where abortions are okay, right?
Well, no, I'm not even saying okay. Again, I don't know enough about some OBGYNs that they can defend their statement here. They will say abortion is never medically necessary. I'll allow them to defend that. I don't know enough about the details there to be able to say that.
So you're saying that you do not have a statement of whether abortions can never be true or always?
It is murder. Whether or not an OBGYN can prove to me, of which there's a lot of debate, it is ever medically necessary. So take, for example, if a baby is 26 weeks and the baby's, you know, the mom's life is in danger, deliver the baby by C-section. Don't terminate the baby. Does that make sense?
Yes, I
The baby can
see.
survive outside of the womb.
Okay, at that point, yeah.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Next question.
Hi, Charlie. Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's fine. Good to go. Thank you. Let's start off by laying some things that I think you and I would both agree on first. I'm sure you like our Constitution. I'm sure you're a big fan of our Bill of Rights, the habeas corpus inclusion in the before even the Bill of Rights in the Constitution itself. When we look at the current league of deportations that's happening, particularly when it predates to Kilmar Abrego Garcia, right? He is a man who hasn't had his due process. He never had his day in court.
That's not true. You know that he spent 4 years in court from 2017 to 2021. In fact, so much so that the judge even ruled on his immigration status, saying that he could be deported at any time for any reason.
That court order actually lapsed, so it wasn't valid at the time of his deportation. If we want to go through these, we need people to have their habeas corpus rights. We need people to have the ability to show up in court and actually exemplify their have their case be heard in front of a judge, be heard by a jury of their jury of their peers, pardon, and have a chance to be.
Okay, but again, I've done this so many times. Let me just pause, and I don't mean to pick on you. How hard the left is fighting for this MS-13 scumbag is just remarkable to me. It's like I'm not trying to pick on you. Let me make a broad statement.
He could be the worst person in the world. He could be an absolute scumbag.
Is he a U.S. citizen?
No.
Oh, that actually changes things.
It does, absolutely.
And so,
but it does not change
due process. Yes, it does. The Alien Enemies Act says you do. That's not correct.
Okay.
The Alien Enemies Act says you do not have to give due process to those that you are deporting. It is not correct. So they invoked the Alien Enemies Act.
What does it take to invoke that act?
And signature from the President of the United States to say that you are being invaded by a foreign power or assisted by a certain force on enemy ground.
Correct.
He was part of MS-13, which is a paramilitary arm of the Venezuelan government.
So, but in order to enact that act, don't we need a war declaration?
Oh, yeah. No, that's what he did on day one. He said that we're being invaded.
Does he have that power? I thought that was a congressionally approved thing.
No, that's not correct. The President of the United States has an ability within a 90-day emergency clause window to say that we are being invaded by a special power. It's called the War Powers Act of 1990-something. The War Powers Act gives the President the authority for 90 to 100 days to declare that we are being invaded. And we have been invaded, by the way, by MS-13 and Tren de Aragua. It's a material fact.
Considering, one of the things that's super important when we consider law is the spirit of the law. And do we really believe that these laws were enacted with the spirit in mind of gangs being associated as arms of a state?
Potentially.
MS-13 and Tren de Aragua are not Venezuelan arms. They're not.
No, MS-13 is. That's not correct. But let me throw it back at you. MS-13 is El Salvadorian and also Venezuela. Yeah, Tren de Aragua is Venezuela. MS-13 is El Salvadorian. He signed Declaration of Invasions against both. But let me challenge you on this, because you're coming after this in good faith. Was the First Amendment written in the spirit of Facebook posts?
Can you clarify a little bit?
The First Amendment,
yeah,
part of the Bill of Rights, ratified in 1791, was it written in the spirit that it shall apply to tweets?
Not to private corporations.
Well, no, meaning like, do your free speech rights apply also to the internet?
So it applies to public squares. The question that we're having now is Facebook a public square? Are Twitter public squares?
It's a separate issue. The issue is that we would all agree that you have a First Amendment right to express yourself and the government can't throw you in prison regardless of where you have it. Whether you write a newspaper op-ed or whether you do a Facebook post, right? You have a First Amendment right to do that. The point being is you say, well, the spirit of the law in 1798, it doesn't matter if a law is old. It matters what moral claim is the law trying to make, because times sort of change, but people do not. Human nature goes unchanged. And so the point being is the Alien Enemies Act has been invoked 4 times in our nation's history: War of 1812, Civil War, World War I, World War II. And I believe totally appropriately invoked here. It's been enjoined by the Supreme Court right now, so we'll find out its future. But when you have 15 million people come into your country in a span of 4 years, that is definitionally an invasion.
I guess an invasion requires a certain commitment from a state, right? It's a big difference between an invasion and an immigration wave is whether there's a state operating.
Or a force. The cartels, man. The cartels operate like a state. The cartels are the reason that a lot of these people are able to make it up to the border. They pay money to the cartels. The cartels are using drones. They're using speedboats. They're using helicopters. The cartels act like a government. In fact, the cartels run the Mexican government. The Sinaloa drug cartel is more powerful than the Mexican Mexican government.
I would agree with labeling these terrorist organizations. I think they have the funding. They operate. They have such. But there's a key distinction between a government entity and a terrorist organization.
Hold on a second. We declared war on Al Qaeda.
Yeah.
What government was Al Qaeda?
We can declare war on terrorist organizations.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. So, if we signed the Alien Enemies Act against Al Qaeda, it would have been perfectly fair and appropriate, obviously. And Al Qaeda is not a government. What I'm saying though is that the cartels, the MS-13 and Tren de Aragua, they are being supported by governments. They're harbored in governments. The Alien Enemies Act, of course, applies to them. These are enemies here on the mainland of America doing harm. Okay. And Kilmar Abrego Garcia is a member of MS-13. He was a wife beater, a child abuser, here illegally. He had a deportation notice on his head. And now he's back in his country of El Salvador, and we should be happy that he's home.
So, I can grant you that he might be all these things. It does not mean that he doesn't get a day in court.
But as a non-U.S. citizen, though, the Alien Enemies Act allow us to expeditiously remove him. It's just the way it works. I mean,
no, you're right. But
And now that's not the
we
case.
can
The Supreme
argue
Court's
whether that was a correct invocation, right?
But
where
that's
our
irrelevant. The
disagreement
Supreme
is.
Court has now said no more, so there will be no more. But in that specific case, nothing was done illegally. The only argument you might have is that the judge says you could deport him anywhere except El Salvador. So we probably should have just like deported him to, I don't know, the Congo, and everyone would have been happier. Hilariously, they said, oh, he's in a foreign jail. No, he's not in a foreign jail. He's an El Salvadorian in his own country. He's not an American. If he would have went to Gitmo, that would have been a foreign jail.
Yeah. Okay. And then, let's see.
Thank
I
you.
think that's it for me. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Could I ask you for a red hat?
Yes,
sign?
absolutely. Thank you. Yep. Thanks. Great question. Yes, sir.
All right. Hi, Charlie. My name's Gabriel, and I'm a senior in high school. And I want to tell you this. I don't know much about this topic, so I'm here more to learn, but I also want to provide a point of view. So I wanted to speak about Trump's tariff policy. So since January 2025, Trump has had one of the worst presidential terms concerning the economy. And there are statistics to back this up. S&P has dropped 8%, Dow Jones has dropped 7%, the Russell has dropped 12%. The way I understand it, tariffs are a tax that are passed on to consumers. They impede upon the world free trade and increase the cost of imported goods. This not only has tanked our economy, but is actually putting small businesses across America out of work. Middle-class Americans that voted for Trump believing prices would drop are now having to close down their small business because they used to rely on outsourcing. Now, I understand that Trump's goal with this tariff policy is to bring back jobs to America. However, this is an unrealistic reality. Even though some corporations are moving production to the U.S. to avoid tariff, in reality, most would rather pass the cost on to consumers than financially pay billions of dollars in building new plants in America and paying higher wages. With all of this, I wanted to ask you if you could please defend Trump's tariff plan.
Sure. Great. First of all, the market's recovering, but you're right, it has gone down. The market is not a necessarily good indicator of the economy. We have an economy, and then we have a market. Half of Americans don't own any stocks, just for the record.
Okay.
That's a very important thing, right?
There's a lot of Americans that have money in stocks and
No,
are
of course they
losing
do.
money every day.
Well, actually, okay, you're in high school, so I'm just going to be like super gentle. Like, the market's been up the last couple days, right? Markets go up, markets go down.
Okay.
The more important question, though, is what type of economy is going to survive the next 40 or 50 years? When we do not make our own vitamin C, we don't make our own antibiotics, we don't make our own drone parts, and it's all made in China, we should try to re-domicile it. It's tempting to blame this all on tariffs, but there's actually no tariffs that are in place right now. You know that, right?
There's still a 10% baseline tariff, and even though there's a 90-day pause, they're going to come back. That's the reality.
You know that better than I do, right? Yeah.
Well, I know that. That's a fact.
Oh, yeah, sure. Okay.
There's a 90-day pause on tariffs.
So again, I'm trying to be super, like, you're in high school, it's fine. You know, Trump's talking to South Korea and Japan and Vietnam.
Okay.
We're going to get massive deals with India, and we're going to fix the trade imbalances. And here's the core of it. Can we at least agree that Trump ran on the idea of tariffs?
He did.
And people voted for it?
Yes.
Should elected leaders do what people vote for them to do?
Yes, but I agree that he's doing what he said he would do. What I'm asking you is, how can you defend what he's doing? Because what would you say to the middle class American that has a small business that now has to shut down their business because they used to outsource to China and now they can't pay due to the high tariffs? That's my question.
They were outsourcing to China?
Well, even though some small businesses don't outsource, they get a lot of their production from big companies that do make their products foreign. And so now those prices are being jacked up and small businesses are running out of customers because they're having to pass the cost on to the consumer.
I see no evidence of that happening, and I believe, first of all...
what is the definition of a tariff?
Well, the tariff is a duty on an imported product. How do you avoid a tariff?
You move to the U.S.
Yeah, exactly.
So wait, hold on a second. Are most companies moving to the U.S.?
Actually, yes. You know there's over $6 trillion in investments announced in the last 2 weeks in the United States of America?
Yeah.
$6 trillion.
But what happens in the U.S.? You get higher wages. Where does that cost go? Businesses aren't going to just pay that cost. They pass that cost on to the consumers.
Toyota, Honda, Stellantis, NVIDIA did a $500 billion investment.
Yeah,
Oracle,
NVIDIA is down
data
like
centers.
20% in the last 3 months.
Right, again, so I'm going to try to be very gentle with this. Stock prices are not always a reflection of reality. That is an inflection of investors' skittishness, right? Okay. So if NVIDIA is down 20%, they might have been hyperinflated a couple months ago. Yeah. Let me just kind of close with this. Do we both agree we should make more stuff in America?
I agree in certain cases, yes.
Okay. I mean, yeah, I think with critical manufacturing, critical industry, We have massive trade imbalances with these countries. The president is going to actually say you have to buy more of our product, buy more of our liquefied natural gas. And I believe coupled with that small business that you talked about, they're about to receive the largest tax cut in American history. No tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security, and a massive middle-class tax.
But if we can produce goods foreignly for less money, why are we moving it back to the U.S.? And my other point is...
Because less money is not the most important
thing. By
thing.
moving it back to the U.S., what are you, making more factory jobs? We're moving into a time where tariffs are behind us. Factory jobs are behind us.
Wrong.
Soon AI is going to take over these factory jobs.
And this is where you're totally wrong, man. We have 11 million manufacturing jobs that we need to fill in the next 5 years that don't require college degrees. Advanced manufacturing jobs, highly precise. Who's going to build all the robots? Who's going to build the drones? There's insane amount of hardware infrastructure that needs to happen. Factory jobs are not behind us. In fact, we have more hardware needs now in 2025 than we even had in 1985. So thank you for your time.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Hello. My name is Joe, and I don't know that much about you. I'm gonna be honest, but you're like this conservative like Trump supporter, dude. Okay. And you'd consider yourself a Christian? How do you consider yourself like a serious Christian if you support Trump after he raped Jean Carroll?
So you believe he raped her?
Yes.
Really? Was he criminally indicted for that?
I believe he was.
No, he
guilty
wasn't.
For sexual abuse.
No, he wasn't. He was civilly found liable for slander in a slanted Manhattan jury. Tell me, what year was she raped?
Oh, I don't know.
She doesn't know either, actually, when she was asked.
The court found.
No, they did not. A jury
guilty.
found him liable for smear and slander around this topic. Do you know that E. Jean Carroll said, quote, rape is sexy?
No.
She said that on air on the Anderson Cooper show. E. Jean Carroll says, do you know the facts surrounding the case?
A little bit.
Tell me.
No. No, all right. Okay.
Tell me.
Trump was, I don't know, indicted, found guilty for sexual abuse over her because he fingered her unconsensually.
He was never ever indicted. He was never that. This was a civil case that was around her. This was around smear and slander and defamation. Again, according to E. Jean Carroll's recollection, she can't remember the year, but she says some afternoon Donald Trump took me into a Tiffany's store at the height of his power, at the height of his popularity, when he was on the front cover of Playboy magazine and decided to go rape E. Jean Carroll. Really, we're supposed to believe that?
I've seen pictures of Donald Trump and Epstein hanging out.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Epstein.
he kicked him out of the Mar-a-Lago club. What's the next point?
Because Epstein raped kids and shit.
Yeah.
You have to kick him out if he rapes kids. Like, he can't have that personal. Like,
got it. So what's the contention?
He raped kids.
Trump raped kids?
Yeah. Jean Carroll, when she was 13.
She wasn't 13. The accusation was when in her late 20s, not when she was 13.
13.
Your typical liberal, everybody. Give it up for him. Thank you very much.
The government. No, I love it.
Thank you.
Can I have a hat? Can I have a hat?
Thank you. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Charlie. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for letting me speak. I'm studying abroad from Italy for this semester. Sorry? Yeah, from Roma. I've seen your videos online and I really respect what you are doing here. I have a question because in Europe we are facing the same problem with illegal immigration. And what are your stance on illegal families who came here many years ago and now are working and paying taxes in your country?
Every person who has come here illegally must be returned to their country of origin.
And I completely agree with you. I'm here to say something. I really like the speech that J.D. Vance did in Munich after the terrorist attack.
Do we like J.D. Vance, everybody? Isn't J.D. great?
Well, I'm not American, but I like him too. If I were American, I would have voted for him. However, in Europe, we are having a big problem with illegal immigration. People are coming, they don't respect our laws, they're raping women, stabbing. It's dangerous to go around. So I don't understand when people come here to talk to you, liberals and Democrats, saying that they want to welcome them, because you don't know who is entering in your country.
Amen. And I'll tell you, we need more legal immigrants like you in this country. I'll tell you what.
And it makes me upset that for me it's difficult. I'm respecting the law. I'm here. If I have to be here legally, I'm gonna go back to Italy because I cannot work. And it makes me upset seeing someone that comes here illegally and does whatever he wants. That's it.
God bless you. You want a hat?
If I can have a white one, because I already have
a white one. All right.
red.
Make Italy great again. Okay. Very good.
I wish. Can I shake your hand? Thank you. Thank you very much.
Hi, Charlie. I'm a senior in high school named Trevor, and I want to start off by saying thank you for coming to this beautiful city of San Diego. I just want to get your quick thoughts on two very specific topics. One being the photo of Kilmar Garcia's hand that Trump held up, and him advocating in an interview the other day with Terry Moran about it not being photoshopped in any way. I want to get your thoughts on that.
It wasn't photoshopped. It was labeled.
Right, but he didn't say that. He said that the literal letters and numbers MS-13 were on.
No, they are. I have the picture here.
Yeah, it's photoshopped.
No, it's not. That's called labeling, not
right,
photoshopping.
Right, I agree that he labeled it, but Trump was saying that they were on there. He kept going on and on about it for 2 minutes.
I don't know the point of what you're making. The iconography, I can look it up.
Right.
Literally means MS-13.
I completely agree that those logos were on each of his knuckles. I'm saying that the letters MS and the numbers 13 were not on there, but in the photo that Trump held up, they were, and he advocates that they were like on his hand, not that they were labels.
I don't know what you're talking about, but sure. What's your next contention?
Okay, and then I want to just get two things that you disagree with Trump that he's done in his current presidency.
Canada should not be the 51st state.
Okay.
And I think not even a disagreement. I think we should have caution to try to go to war with Iran.
Okay.
We should be very careful about bombing the Houthis and getting closer to a war with Iran.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you. You want?
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks. Yes. Who's up?
All right, how are we doing, Mr. Kirk? Yeah. Hi. This is I'm not gonna sit here and act like I'm gonna be like a debate king here. You have 10 years of experience on me, and I had a quick question though about on abortion, if that's okay with you. Right. So I think when we talk about abortion, I think we really get into this idea of like when we should assign personhood, right? So you clearly believe that life begins at conception, and I think it would be better if we shift that metric to a more based on sentience. And I believe that and the question I have for you is that since you believe that life begins at birth, let's say we have a person that's grown to old age and they have died and they have absolutely showing no brain activity at all. Would you believe that shooting that person, that dead person, is the equivalent of a human life?
Yeah, it is a human life, but those are two totally separate things. One is no more, and the other one's not yet.
Right.
So not yet is different than no more. If someone's at the end of their life and there's nothing more we can do to continue their life, that is a different moral conversation than someone that has not yet been completely grown as a human as you and I. Two totally different moral circumstances, so you can't conflate the two.
Right. But I think they both have the same problem where it's about the presence of consciousness, right? Then.
No, it's not a problem. One, the consciousness will come. One will not. So they're two separate things. One has potentiality, one does not. So you can't conflate the two together.
But okay, let's say, let me use a different analogy then. Let's say I have a blueprint to a building, right? And I have the materials for the building, and you destroy those materials. The materials of the building isn't the building in itself. Can we both agree that there's a difference between those two?
Is the building building itself in real time, and it's currently being constructed, and it's going up?
No, but
up?
it still doesn't really matter because they're still adding value to the fact that we're creating the building.
Bad analogy.
Right?
A blueprint. Because the blueprint is not the building.
Right, exactly.
No,
so
I'm
if
saying
you were
a human being's DNA is not just.
We agree on that though.
No,
the blueprint is not the building, so there's probably different moral qualifications.
No, they're not. I'm saying though that the baby is the building. So you're incorrect.
Okay, so
the building is following the blueprint.
So when you're looking at like I don't know, like a fertilized egg, you're telling me a picture of this fertilized egg is the equivalent of a human life right now. No, the exact same thing.
What's the difference?
The different stage of development.
No. So why should stage of development give you more rights?
Well, I mean, okay, you're acting like this is
No,
not something this is done in society. Like, for example, we do judge based on different stages of development, like in cognitive capabilities, right? I'm not letting a fetus drive a car. A fetus can't
but no,
drive.
hold on. Right to life.
Alcohol and whatnot.
Apply the right to life to your stage of development.
This is a little bit different. So I guess a different question I would have to ask you is like, why I'm assuming your two qualifications here are the fact that like it's a unique cellular organism, right, that has the potential to live,
and it's
right?
human, which
And
is
it's
inherently
human.
has dignity.
So I guess then this brings into question, because I know there's another scenario where this occurs, right, where fertilization of an egg occurs, and they're on track to development, correct? And this other example that I'll think of is like animals, right? I think why do we not give the same moral consideration to animals as we are to like zygotes in this situation?
Because animals aren't human beings.
Okay, so but why is human beings?
Human beings have a soul and animals do not.
Have a soul. So this is my point,
No,
guys.
soul is not just
is a
consciousness.
conscious experience.
No, it's not.
You are
Let me prove it to
engaging
you.
in
Wrong.
This is dishonest. This is dishonest though.
Let me prove it to you. When someone is quote unquote brain
Okay.
dead, do you know that they still respond if someone stabs them, their norepinephrine goes up? Do you know that a woman still menstruates if she's brain dead? So consciousness is not human worth. There's something else going on beyond consciousness that exists in a being that is the soul.
Okay, so now we're getting into a conversation of what the difference between a soul and a consciousness is. And I
No,
really
they're
think-
totally different. The soul is the something beyond consciousness is your narration to yourself,
Okay.
your ability to reason. There's something above reason. All of us know what that is when it kicks in. You ever hear the expression, words can't describe, I am speechless? You know why? Speech is reason. When you see
Okay.
a sunset that takes your breath away, when you see a newborn life that is born, you don't even have the words to express it because it transcends your
I
reason.
agree with that.
That is your soul.
So I mean that's a good point. Like when we give, what you just labeled there is like when a child is given born, when they're born, we give such moral significance to that, not the fact that like they got infertilized by an egg. I don't want to celebrate. I want to certify. I'd rather celebrate my birthday rather than like the day my parents had sex. That's kind of a little weird situation. You know what I mean? Like if life begins at conception.
Well, it's called your birthday for a reason,
Right,
but you were a living being, not.
It seems that like society
You
kind
were
of
9 months prior. you were-
gravitates to this idea of like an actual human being existing that
Oh,
gives
no,
moral
that's-
value, right?
One is your entrance to the world. The other one
Right.
is the actual creation of your being. Two different
Right.
things. Your birthday is when you entered the world.
Right,
For example, your birthday could be at 28 weeks, not 36
Okay.
weeks. So everybody has a different day when you exit the womb, but it's
Okay.
not when your worth begins. That's not when your value begins. That's simply when you exit the womb.
Right. So I have a good question. I really want to get back to this idea of like you give more moral value to the level of the fact that like that humans that are developed have a soul in comparison to like a zygote that, or actually no, animals
or a
animals,
coyote.
Okay, so is that not the same comparison to like a zygote to a developed human being in the sense that we are a higher functioning conscious being in comparison to like this other thing that we can just actively kill whenever
It doesn't
we want?
matter. I
Why
mean,
does
can
it
you
not matter,
actively
though?
kill a 1-year-old? Doesn't have as much acuity as you do or consciousness.
Right, yeah, but like I mean,
Can you? Can you kill a 1-year-old?
That's not the same thing because like this is
Oh,
like
of
going
course
back
it's the
to
same
my
thing.
like
What's the
idea of
difference in a
sentience,
1-year-old
right?
and a 1-day-old zygote? What's the moral difference?
The level of consciousness.
Oh,
right?
so one's bigger. One's more developed. One's older.
Lots more
The
developed.
consciousness
No,
is completely
sure,
irrelevant.
Sure.
Because
How is
just
it
you know that
irrelevant?
a 1-day-old out of the womb doesn't have a lot of consciousness at all.
Okay, sure,
It
that's
can't
fine.
speak. It can't really. It's kind of
Right.
like disembobulated. But you don't get less rights for that.
I agree. I mean, like, well, to a certain degree, I agree with that. But like, there is a meaningful difference between a fertilized egg and a conscious
What is
human
it?
being. One is less conscious than the other.
Oh no, one has more skills. But like, what's the innate moral difference? And prove it to me.
Because it seems like we do restrict rights, and we do actually change rights based on development and consciousness.
No,
and
about
cognitive
life.
experience,
So
right?
like a 4-year-old.
Right.
What is the innate moral difference of a 4-year-old and a zygote?
One is more conscious.
Okay, got it. So I think that's irrelevant. I think they're both human beings deserving of protection. Consciousness alone is not a marker of dignity.
Okay, but so then what is your marker of dignity? Is
Being
that
a human being.
Being a human being. So is your argument a little bit circular though? There, it's just like it's
No,
just
it's not.
because we deserve rights because we're a human being.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's self-evident. We are human beings with a soul, therefore we have rights.
So we deserve rights because we're human beings because we're human beings. So like, how am I supposed to win against this argument here?
You can't.
See, okay, yeah, exactly. So it's
Because
inherently
it's called a
okay.
self-evident truth.
So like,
It's
yeah.
called self-evident. So it is. That's why the pro-life position is irrefutable.
But
is
so
that
then-
because you have to posit human
Right,
beings have rights?
and that's that. And is not a kind of a concern that like we base all our entire ideology on this one illogical circle that.
No,
that
it's not
goes back and
illogical.
forth?
It's incredibly
Yeah, right.
logical.
So like,
we are human beings,
what I'm
and we
interested
believe
in
that
is
they
that,
matter.
like, if you were to remove this circle here, then you would have to actually be pro-life in the sense of be pro-life to all life.
Oh, we are.
Right. So
No,
pro-life to like animals,
no,
and kind of, you know.
but we don't
saying,
believe
I'm-
human
look,
beings are.
I'm not like a vegan or anything. I'm not vegetarian.
But human beings
I
are
think
not the
this-
moral
if
same
you
as
were-
a bird. It's not the same thing. For multiple reasons, because a human being has characteristics and qualities, and most importantly, we believe as Christians, human beings have a soul that a bird does not have.
Okay, so characteristics and qualities.
And only,
like,
let me interrupt one more.
Sorry,
the West,
no
whether
problem.
you agree or not, sorry to interrupt, we believe the human being is the only thing made in the image of the Creator, Imago Dei.
Okay. Okay, so when you say characteristics and qualities, what does that mean to me? What does that mean to me?
Well, first of all, not just the ability to reason, but also the ability to sympathize, empathize, feel, predict, plan, conjecture, to have mercy, forgiveness, to be able to be
all beautiful
introspective.
things. I love that. I love that about us human beings.
Oh, no, I know.
I'm not being sarcastic.
No, but
it's a good
we
point.
human beings are exceptional, actually. I mean,
Right.
versus the beasts of the wild, of which
Right.
we should appreciate and adore. But again, more beyond that, we come after this from a soft religious view, because you don't have to be Christian to believe this,
Right, right.
that the human being has innate, inherent, embedded, let's just say, dignity that a fox does not.
Right. Yeah. So what you just did there is kind of like my argument here. You're saying that like because we are human, we are more developed, we have higher cognitive reasoning, we're able to sympathize, emotion, and reason, do all these
And the
great
soul.
things. Right. But the thing is, well, I guess that's a religious belief, though.
Well,
And in
that's
my
an
belief
interesting
system,
question.
I think that consciousness is the soul,
And
if
that's
makes sense.
where why if you don't believe in God, it's easy to go want to murder a bunch of people. And I'm not criticizing you.
Right,
it goes
right,
back to
right.
just a common theme here. If you believe in God, every human being has dignity.
Well, you're kind of intuition pumping there about saying if it's murder, because we haven't really discussed, we haven't even agreed on
I mean,
whether
but look,
the zygote is
of course,
a human being
if
worth
it's a human being
considering,
and the elimination of human life is murder, but that's
Right.
fine. We're just. This is why it's very hard to change people that don't believe in God to be pro-life, because you don't necessarily believe that human life is necessarily special.
No, I mean I do.
But you might
believe
think it's
human
like
life is
unique
very
and it's
special,
like
right?
interesting.
It is a
but
unique
you
experience,
don't
right?
believe it's made in the image of a creator.
Okay, yeah,
And
I
that's
mean-
fine. And that's why we tend to be the pro-life champions, and those that don't believe in God don't. And that's okay.
Okay.
It's just that clarity is important for the audience.
Okay, so I guess we can keep going back and forth. I'm sure you got a hold on. I'm gonna
It's
give it
fine.
to
No,
people. But I do.
you've been great.
I do want to have a good question with you. A question about that I want to leave off on is. So it seems like I think you're pretty set in stone in this position, and I would like to ask, what would I have to do or prove to show you in order to convince you that pro-life isn't the answer that society should be seeking for?
I mean, it would be an impossibility. You have to prove to me God doesn't exist.
Okay, so then we can agree that like this is just a moral issue that you're appealing to a book.
Of course. I mean, all moral issues appeal to an authority, obviously.
Okay.
Why is murder wrong?
I mean, because the reason, if you want to talk about morality, we can talk about morality too.
Abortion is a moral issue, of course it is.
Yeah. But the reason why
our
I
whole
think-
conversation is
I
laced
think-
with morality.
But in order to kind of like reduct it to like a textbook or a book or a specific like thing,
Why? Where do you get your morality from?
Well, I think morality should be based on like what is the best choice of action to help society progress.
Okay,
if that makes any sense.
okay, got it. What
Right.
if society agrees we should kill the dumb people?
Well, probably not the best.
Well, but why?
Well, the thing is, it's
Or how about
the
this?
thing is,
We should abort-
pragmatically that doesn't work out.
Yes,
If we
it does.
kill the
In Iceland, it's mandatory to abort Down syndrome babies.
Okay.
It's best, right? Down syndrome people are a strain on society. Why do you say it's wrong?
I mean, because there's some degree of like we should protect some people.
Why? By what standard? Why are you appealing to? I appeal to a book. What do you appeal to?
The thing is, I think like there's still some value to
Why?
people
What
to
standard?
that
Is
have,
that your
like-
opinion, or is there something transcendent telling you that?
No, there's something transcendent because like there is some sacredity to life, and that's what I agree with. I agree that life is
Why?
sacred. That's why I would agree that if you adopted a more broader pro-life stance, I think I would be more on side of that. Like if you want to have a society where we're forcing women to breed and pump out children, then I would say you would have to create that society where like it is more able for them to do that, and in addition to not be indiscriminate between life. So I think I would
Got
agree
it.
with that sentiment, right?
Thank you for your time. Appreciate
Okay,
it.
sorry, yeah.
Thank
can I
you.
get a hat?
Yeah, I'll give you a hat. Thank you.
Hey. Charlie, oh,
Thank you.
Can you sign it? Can you sign it? Yeah. Thanks, I appreciate you.
Charlie, can I please get a white hat?
Okay, who's up?
You sure you don't want to give these guys a little chance to... Okay, all right, perfect. Thank you. All right, so we're talking objective truths here, right, Charlie? Okay, so thing is, here's an objective truth. Every single policy the Republicans claim they're for, they've basically done the opposite of, right? Every time you repeal a piece of abortion legislature, the coat hanger business gains a few new customers, right? And even after they're born, you guys don't give as much of a crap about them after they're out of the womb, right? you don't want to pay
Well, that's
for
not true. Why would you say that?
Because you guys have an active war against education. You guys have an active war against free lunch.
Hold on. Just
Come
because
on.
you don't want to throw government money at something doesn't mean you don't care about them. Time out. We want to have more police, so safer streets, so kids don't get killed in crossfire,
I agree, sure.
gang shootings. We want to have a secure southern border so that hundreds of thousands of girls are not sold into sex slavery every single year. We want school choice so that kids can have a better education. We actually want a balanced budget so the U.S. dollar will be around for future generations. I reject this whole thing that, oh, you guys are only pro-life at birth. No, every policy that we have is rooted in a pro-life position.
Okay, all right. So let's move a little bit on from that. I'm not saying I've lost yet, because a woman did kill her own child literally like a couple of days ago on day of birth. 60 years in prison, as she should have, but like that is a abortion problem. She was raped. But
yeah, I know, but
let's
hold
move.
on. But
Okay.
if she would have killed the baby while it was in the womb, it would have been okay. So why was it wrong to kill the baby outside the womb?
Because the baby could cry.
Oh, the baby can't cry in a womb?
Okay.
No,
you want
tell-
to talk about?
No. You brought it up. Why is it? Why is it bad to slit the throat of a baby once it's born, but okay to slit the throat of the baby if it's in the womb?
Less cells, just straight up less cells. I would
one
say
day
as
difference. One
just
day
if you count the
difference.
cells, less cells, right?
Wait, so the amount of cells you have dictate your moral worth? I have more.
I do not want to get into this moral thing.
No, you already did.
Okay,
Hold
then
on.
we will.
I have more.
Would you go into a crowd of black people and say the N-word? Would you? If there's no moral covenant against that, would you go? If I gave you $500 right now, would you? Would you?
No.
Would you say it?
No.
What's stopping you?
I mean,
what's stopping you? What line in the Bible is gonna stop you going up to a group of guys and go, "Hey fellas, mind if I say a word? Mind
Will
if
you
I
say
speak
it?
my piece?"
Will
No,
you say the word?
Because I have a
Oh.
different set of morals. I say
by what
that's just wrong.
By what moral is that wrong?
By morals of around, find out. I'm gonna get my jumped. I will get this out of me. This presumptuous. I don't know about you, but any kind of argument that there's an objective morality
Of course
that doesn't
there is.
depend.
Was Hitler objectively evil?
Yeah.
Okay, so we agree.
Amount of cells, gone. Biomass, that's kind of.
So wait, so does someone who is older have moral rights than a 4-year-old because they have more cells?
Depends on the person. I could probably jump him. I mean, like, if... Listen, not to start a fight. I have no offense. I didn't even point at a person. What, did I point at you? I'm sorry if I did. I'd lose against him. If I was pointing at him, I would lose. But, okay. Here's what I actually want to talk about, okay? We've gone a little sidetracked. That was my preamble. Hey, listen. All right? I want to talk to you about DEI, right? Because I have a feeling that I'm a white man, right?
You are?
I would say I am, right? I would say I'm a white guy. I may be entirely Chinese, but what even is a white guy, right? Throughout history, right? Irish people and Polish people were not considered white people. Then you're gonna say in 17 blah, 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 they technically were counted. Right now, you look at the books, Arabic people are called
What's the
white
question?
people.
We got a long line.
Do you disagree with the fact that I'm white?
I mean, look, I don't know what you are. You don't look very white to me, but I mean, like, not
You
that-
don't look very white to me either. I
No,
mean,
I'm like the whitest
I'm
person
a
you'll ever
phrenologist,
meet,
right?
actually.
I'm a phrenologist. I'm paler than you are. Look at me.
Okay, great.
Look at me, okay? So, I don't think there's a physical objective quality that defines being a white guy, I think, right? Because if you look at the book, it's not a country of origin. There's no country of origin for white people. It's like saying Asian people are one race.
Caucasian is the better term, but...
Well,
I would prefer
I'm
not to
talking
talk about
white
race all the
people.
time, but yeah.
Well, all right. Then what's the problem with, like, let's say a Mexican?
There's no problem
There's
with
no problem with Mexicans? Then what was your beef against Kilmar Abrego Garcia? He was in court for different reasons. And then
What's my beef with a wife-beating, child-abusing gang member here illegally? I don't know, the fact that he's a wife-beating, child-abusing gang member here illegally, that's my beef with him.
Okay.
And he's from El Salvador, not Mexico. Racist, get that right?
Oh, my bad. Who's doing it now, dude? Hey, wait a second.
All right, thank you very much.
Hold
Next,
on.
thank you.
All right, one last thing. Anyone want this hat? Take that get off my campus.
No, I'll be here for another hour and a half. He's gonna go and tell his friends, I own Charlie Kirk.
He probably is, man. He probably is. Hey,
you're eager beaver.
I am, man, because I have a midterm soon, but I wanted to talk to you real quick because honestly, man, I'm a moderate, so I disagree with you on a lot of issues, but I also agree with you on a lot of issues, and I'm so glad you've come to this campus, and so I want to say welcome to this campus, man. Welcome to this campus. Thank you for educating everybody. But One thing that we don't talk about often, especially as Republicans, and again, I'm a moderate. Sometimes this past election I was Republican, but we don't talk about social mobility a lot. We don't talk about like the debt to GDP ratio. Trump, his tax cuts and jobs plan, man, it's really like it's not decreasing our deficit at all. And we're at the highest rates we've ever been at since World War II. We're literally going to surpass, 100% debt to GDP ratio. And there's no plan, at least under the Obama plan, we were going to raise like $650 billion over the next 10 years, which I know isn't enough. But I mean, come on, we've got to do something about that. And like, what's the deal with that?
We need more spending cuts. I mean, we don't know yet what the plan is going to look like, but I hope we have spending cuts across the board. I mean, I agree with you. We need to balance our budget. It's a major threat to our country.
Well, the big thing is too, man. I mean, I'm an older student, right? I'm clearly not 19 anymore, or at least maybe you think so, but whatever. It took me a while to get here, man. It took me a while to get to college. I got on a med school shirt. I actually switched to economics because I hope I can get in rooms with guys like you one day and have these discussions. But look, man, it took me forever to get here. It took me forever to get to college. And the only reason that I'm here today is because I had to move from a Republican state to such a liberal state like California so that I could actually get an education because it was completely unaffordable. And we just don't address that. We just don't address it.
What state are you from?
I'm originally from Georgia. And I know it swings back and forth, but still, I mean, there's just no opportunities there, man. I mean, I tried my hardest my whole life, man. Believe me, I work and I work and I work and I pound and I save, but there are no opportunities.
I would just push back a little bit, though. I mean, a lot more people are leaving California than coming into California. Like
I understand but those are wealthy people that are leaving.
No, that's not true. No, a lot of working middle class people are leaving this state. The opportunities are in states like Texas and Arizona and Florida, and increasingly not here in this state.
But the opportunity for social mobility is here. I mean, for instance, for me to get to the first, for me to be in the first quartile of my income and to make it all the way up to the fifth, for me to, be working my butt off, making a $40,000.
You're very unusual to say that because California has the highest housing prices in the country.
Yeah.
The highest cost of living,
Correct.
The most homelessness. So you're very unusual to say that the social mobility is good here in California because it's not.
It's because people don't take advantage of it. But I mean, I came here specifically to take advantage of it because I can see the system here, and I mean, just saying it works for people who actually use it. So I just think we should.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thanks for your time. All right. Yes. Is that a SpaceX shirt? Looks like it, yeah.
Hey, Charlie. Thank you for everything you do. You're one of the reasons I started going to the church this year. My first question is, with the population crisis going on, how can abortion not be justified when the baby will not be able to reproduce, such as a baby with Down syndrome? Defend your abortion stance if the result will be less humans in the following generation.
Okay, so are you asking me as a hypothetical, or can you restate that, please?
So with the population crisis going on,
collapse, yeah.
Collapse, exactly. How can abortion not be justified when the baby, such as someone who has Down syndrome, will not be able to reproduce for the following generation?
Oh yeah, I mean, look. Oh, you're talking about abortion for Down syndrome.
Or anyone who will not be
a
able
Down
to
syndrome
reproduce.
baby has dignity regardless of its capacity to not produce. If you find out that, do people that have infertility problems, do they not get human rights? Right? I mean, so if someone can't reproduce, that doesn't mean they shouldn't be allowed to live.
Got it. Next question is, with the rise in Bible sales and church attendance, as someone who didn't grow up with religion, what advice would you give to someone who's trying to welcome religion into their life and find their faith?
I love that question. Read your Bible every single day. Fight your flesh. Your flesh is going to want to do easy and immediate things like drink and go out and do stuff. Find difficult and hard stuff and find your aim as a man and point everything you can towards it. And spread the good news of God and Jesus Christ in every possible way that you can, and put Jesus first in everything that you do.
Awesome, thank you. Can I shake your hand?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, man. God bless you. Yes, thank you. Got to sign one. Thank you. Who's up? Yeah. You guys already have one. These people. All right, here we go. Yes.
I don't. What? I don't believe that we could use Christianity as. I don't believe that we could use Christianity as a good moral basis for certain laws, considering that historically speaking, Christianity has committed many atrocities. I mean, the Christian Crusades killed many people, and they destroyed a lot of our written texts that didn't agree with Christian points, like, for example, the works of Sappho.
The works of what?
Sappho.
Yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, anyways, I understand that this is Catholicism, but also the schools in Canada that abused many Native American people. I just don't see how we could argue that Christianity is the great moral authority that you're saying it is for making these laws when arguably they've done a lot of horrible things.
What moral code do you live by?
I'm a Buddhist, so I mean...
So it's all about yourself?
No, it's just about being... Well, I guess you could say that. But
I know, yeah, I know Buddhism. So let's play it out. What is the top accomplishment of a Buddhist?
I guess just to be a good person and...
No, to reach nirvana, you know that.
Well, yes, but not everyone can reach nirvana.
I know, but you want to
It's
try
not
to
possible.
ascend, right? And so it's all about yourself, all inward looking, right? To try to limit your touch with the outside world, that the outside world is dirty and it's, you know, it's kind of polluted.
I don't believe as a Buddhist, that's not how I was taught, and I don't think it's fair for you to argue for Buddhism in that sense because
Oh no, that's
you're
what Buddhism.
not a Buddhist.
No, I know plenty about Buddhism. Like, so Buddhism, as it's written, is that the world is contaminated. We must remove ourselves from the world, and we're going to spiritually ascend ourselves by meditation.
But there's people who don't believe in that.
Well, then you don't
There's
believe in
different
Buddhism. That's fine.
sects
It's okay.
Of Buddhism, and they believe in all different kinds of things.
So
just
that's
as
fine.
there's different sects
So
of
can you-
Christianity. I'm just not in that sect.
Got it. So can you what moral way do you think society should live by? Not Christianity. So what way should we live by?
I think that it's not as much about morality as much as societal, and it's just societal needs. Like, for example, like abortion, we can't argue that, you know, Christianity is the reason that we should not allow abortions when clearly there's both a medical and a societal need for abortion.
There's not a medical reason to kill babies, right? So that doesn't exist.
Okay,
But-
well,
but-
I have one example for that. My mother had vasoprevia, and they had offered her an abortion because birthing the baby would not only kill her, and, like, if she went into labor, because the placenta had split into many little veins and covered her birth canal, if she ever went into labor, and my little brother at the time, if he had pushed on the birth canal to exit her, she would have died. Both her and her son would have died.
Did your
and
brother
she is
survive
our-
or no?
I want to continue with this point. So she was offered the opportunity for an abortion because not only was she the main breadwinner of her family, but she is also raising 2 kids as well already. The right to an abortion possibly could have saved her life. She did end up surviving, but not. I don't think that we should limit the ability to get an abortion to other women in her
Wait,
situation.
hold on, time out. So your brother, you know now.
Huh?
Is your brother survive or no?
Yes, he did.
Wait, so
but
aren't you glad your brother wasn't aborted? I mean, come on.
I don't.
What kind of argument is that?
I don't
Aren't you
think
glad
that
your brother's not dead?
It's not that. I'm glad that he wasn't aborted.
Yes,
but
so
I'm
that's
also,
we're
like,
pro-life. That's what we want. We don't want your brother to be aborted. Imagine how many millions other like him are
Yes, but
aborted.
if my mom died.
She
in
didn't. It's not even a good argument.
Well, there's so many people that did.
No,
There's
that's
like
not correct. I said that earlier. It only happens a couple dozen times a year, and the baby could be delivered by C-section.
People with vasa previa have a much higher rate of death than other women
Yes,
who are
this
pregnant.
happens
and that's,
maybe a couple hundred times a year, and there's 1.5 million abortions every single year. This
yes,
is on the
but
extreme of the
if
extreme.
we have to take away abortions, then we're taking away from everybody, even the people who have a medical need for abortion, where the baby is going to kill them if they come out.
Again, I can
There's-
grant you that, fine, we'll have those exceptions. Can we make abortion illegal for the other circumstances?
No, because
so
then-
maybe it's not about those circumstances.
No,
You're
it
just
is about
using
those,
it. Oh,
it is about
really?
those circumstances, because when we take away those rights from everyone and we go into a hospital and there's an emergency need to remove a baby, then we have to prove that there's an actual emergency need instead of just it being an automatic right. Then doctors
You
aren't
don't
going
have
to
a
be
right
willing
to murder another human being.
It's not necessarily a right. It's
Is
just
it
the
a-
ability to
So
be
when
able,
your brother was in your mom's womb, was your brother a human being?
I mean, that's I don't want to argue that. I think that we could
No, it's
argue about
it's
that
not an
for
argument,
a
it's a
long
question.
Time.
When your
I don't
brother
think
was
it's
in
useful.
when your brother was in the womb, was it a human being?
I believe that on my moral compass, I believe that he was, but I don't think that my moral compass should dictate the medical needs
Got it.
and the
So what
societal
moral
needs
compass?
of others.
Fine. What moral compass should we use to write laws then?
Not necessarily a single one. I think that everyone's moral compass is different, and
which
that
one
we should
wins?
be able to.
Which one should say? Let's, for
the
example,
one that supports women the most, the one that
by
allows
what
women to
standard
get
though?
medical.
Why is that? Why is that good? I mean, by what book do you reference? By some moral standard you're appealing to. What is it?
Sorry, what?
No, yeah. By what moral standard do you say that we should have health care for women? Why? What? At some point, you're basing this on something. What is it?
I think that it's not even a moral standard. It's in the
is? Oh.
Constitution. Women should have equal rights, and that includes the right to.
You do not have a right to
choice.
murder another because life is the first right. We've been through that, but I'm saying, but at some point you say you don't want Christianity to have the moral source. So I ask you, by what moral code should we live by?
Well, I don't think there's a defining moral code that we should live by. We all
Of course
have
there is.
different-
Should we help the sick?
Well, yes,
Should we help
but
the poor?
there's okay, but my
Should
moral
we
code
feed the
as
hungry?
a Buddhist is that I should never kill an animal. And many Christians hunt. Many people, kill animals for a living. That's how
I'm
they
not
make
talking
a
about your
living.
personal. Society has to make decisions, right?
Yeah,
So-
and when society makes decisions, they should account for the fact that everyone has a different moral compass. If we're a society that, first of all, a modern society, we shouldn't be basing our moral compass
Oh,
off
but hold
of
on a
a
second.
book
You're
made thousands of years ago.
well, first of all, Buddhism's very old too, but contradicting.
No, I agree.
Yeah,
That's why I don't think Buddhism.
but there's
I don't
a-
think we should ban people
There's
going
a
out to
contradiction
hunt
here, though.
because
Time
I
out.
don't believe in killing
At
animals.
some point, we have to decide what laws to make. We have to say something.
and I think the laws should be dependent on
on what?
how we can most benefit the people already existing in our society.
But okay, but don't people in the womb exist?
That's you could argue that for so long. I don't think it's really useful when
It's
we're
very
talking
useful.
about.
Are you glad you weren't aborted? Are you glad you weren't aborted?
I'm not. I mean, if it was something that if aborting me would have benefited my mother far more than having me would have, then I wouldn't be necessarily angry about it. It's not.
See, I'm glad your mom did not abort you because I think life is beautiful. And I want to give that gift to as many people as possible.
Yeah, but you're also in the same turn taking that gift away from women. If a woman has a medical need and her life is in danger,
I've already
for having
granted.
this
Let's say
baby.
abortion is legal for medical circumstances. 1.4 million.
But then when we get rid of abortion for those exceptions, right, we need to think about how it is applied in the actual.
Abortion is the #1 form of birth control in the country right now. Over 1.4 million abortions every single year for non-rape, non-incest, non-life of the mother.
It's really the #1 form of birth control in this country.
Well, that we know
I highly
of.
doubt
Actually,
that.
if you think
I'm
about
sorry,
it, if you
that's
think
crazy.
about the day after pill.
That's crazy.
Right? If you think about the
People
day
are spending
after pill.
$50 for a abortion instead of the pull-out method, getting a condom. You really think? I'm
Hold on.
sorry, in your twisted worldview, you really
Hold
think
on, let's
the
think about
#1
it.
form
Plan
of birth
B.
control is abortion?
Plan B.
I'm sorry, that's crazy.
No, Plan B, right? Abortifacients, at-home abortions, chemical abortions, surgical abortions. All those can be defined as abortifacients. Yes, you might be right. Okay, you might say condoms are more than that. But abortion has become a form of birth control. Can you agree with that?
I mean, anything that, well, all of it, obviously anything can be considered birth control. I mean, me deciding to not have sex is birth control. I mean,
And that's what more people should do.
What?
Yeah.
I don't know, because I don't think that that's necessarily something that we can police. Like, what, you're gonna go into people's
I'm
bedrooms
not policing,
and, like,
but I'm saying, though, if you're going to decide to have sex, don't kill the baby after you have sex. Pretty
Well,
simple.
I don't
Because you
think
made a
that-
decision to get pregnant.
I don't think that that's necessarily a good argument. I mean, there's more nuance to that.
There's no nuance to it. A human life exists. I can't murder someone in the crowd. Why? Because murder is wrong. You can't murder someone in a womb. Why? Because murder is wrong. Thank you for your time. Yes.
Okay, hi. So I understand that you're fundamentally against immigrant workers, illegal immigrant workers. That's true, right?
Yeah, they should all be deported back to their country of origin.
So what do you think is the best policy for keeping out illegal immigrants?
Well, we already know. First of all, do you know that border crossings have gone down 99.99%? Thank you, President Trump, for securing the southern border. So we know it. And finally, there has to be a much greater penalty for visa overstays and for people that come here legally and overstay their green card or their temporary work visa.
Do you think there should be a greater penalization for those who employ immigrants, illegal immigrants?
Absolutely, yes, absolutely.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Why does it feel like losing weight is harder than ever before? I mean, look around. Most people feel stuck, overwhelmed, and exhausted, trying to fight a battle they can't seem to win. And if you've ever felt this way, you're not alone. I used to feel that way too. Do what I did and called PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition 2 years ago. I lost 40 pounds. Look, it doesn't even fit anymore. I feel great and I haven't gained a pound back. Do what I did and make nutrition a top priority. Call 864-644-1900 to schedule your weight loss consultation. Click the link in the description below to get 2 free weeks added to your weight loss package. How we doing, Washington State? This is quite a turnout. You guys know how it works. If you disagree, go to the front of the line. I got to tell you, it's much nicer here than at UW. I like Washington State a lot better. A lot better. You guys can say that, but I agree with it 100%. We don't like the Huskies at all around here. All right. Okay. All right, if you disagree, go to the front of the line. Thank you guys for being here. We'll be here for a little while. Get comfortable. We'll keep on throwing out hats. And it's great to be here on this beautiful day in Pullman. Oh, I love that. That's great. All right, first question. Yes, come on up. And thank you guys so much.
Hello, Charlie. How are we doing? I'm doing pretty good. My name is Philip, and my question for you is if you believe that Trump's deportation of illegal immigrants is unconstitutional.
Oh, it's very constitutional, yeah.
Okay. I disagree with that. I believe that it is in a violation of the Fifth Amendment, which provides due process to all persons in the United States. This would include non-citizens, and many of these people are being deported without having a trial or going before a judge, which is in violation of the due process.
Yeah, so you are right that you are right if there's an illegal here and they commit a crime while they are an illegal citizen, or not a citizen, legal resident or legal individual, illegal, they do get due process. However, there's 2 exceptions to that. There's something called expedited removal. So if someone comes within 14 days or they're within 100 miles of the border, the Supreme Court has ruled that you do not have to give them the same due process rights. Or if you invoke the Alien Invasion Act, which President Trump has, 1798 law, which allows you to expel people that are here that might be part of enemy gangs or enemy organizations that have invaded the homeland. So under those 2 provisions, you are allowed to expel people here in the country without traditional due process rights.
Well, I do have some issue with that, specifically with your second point of Trump relying on the Alien and Sedition Act. We can see that whenever Joe Biden
It's not the Sedition Act, but you're close.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry,
no,
my
you're
fault.
good. It's the Alien Invasion Act, but it's fine. It's all good. It's actually, they were passed right next to each other, so you're not that far off.
So we can see with Joe Biden, when he tried to forgive student loan debt, he was relying on a law that was roughly 20 years old. And the Supreme Court said in that case that a president relying on a law that was passed in a time that's too different from today's times can be unconstitutional. And I think if that was ruled to be unconstitutional with the law only being 20 years old, that Donald Trump relying on a law that was passed in the 18th century would be very unconstitutional.
That point sounds smart. Should we get rid of the First Amendment?
I'm confused where you're going with that.
It's pretty old.
The First Amendment has
is from
been
1787. Should we get rid of the abolition of slavery? That's from the 1860s. Should old laws be getting rid of? Just because it's old doesn't mean it's bad. Should we get rid of the Second Amendment, the Fourth Amendment? You're the one arguing for due process, which actually was authored in 1791.
Well, the difference
so
is
old
that
stuff
these
doesn't
laws,
mean it's bad. It just means to just criticize it on its merits, not how long it's been around.
But these things have been reaffirmed several times. With the First Amendment, there have been several cases regarding the First Amendment. We can see that it was incorporated into the states. We can see with other cases like West Schoolbird versus Barnett.
Same with the Alien Invasion Act. It's never been ruled unconstitutional. It's been heard many times.
But when has it been reaffirmed by the Supreme Court?
Multiple times. It's never, I believe in like 1850, there was another, 1950. It hasn't in the last couple of decades, of which there will be a legal challenge. But understand, this is specifically about Tren de Aragua and MS-13. That is specifically the carve-out of this law that allows the president to have expedited removal of people that are affiliated with enemy gangs that, by the way, have committed crimes here in the interior of the country, to get them off our homeland. And so the question really is, if you're part of an enemy gang, shouldn't you go back to your country of origin and not stay here in the United States of America when you're raping or murdering or having domestic violence or abuse? Not only that, the American people overwhelmingly voted for that in November.
Well, I don't believe that these people who are being deported are affiliated with a criminal organization. At least the majority of them aren't. The Trump administration has deported...
Every one of them has documentation that they're part of MS-13, including Garcia from Maryland.
That's not correct.
No, the Maryland dad, actually, it's come out. He was part of MS-13, acknowledged he was part of MS-13. He actually beat his wife in 2021. His wife says, I actually don't want to be around my husband anymore because my husband Garcia is beating me. He said he was afraid to go to El Salvador because an enemy gang was going to come after him. Enemy gang, that sounds like a gang member to me. And guess what? You should be happy. He's home. He's from El Salvador, and he's back in his country of origin. We sent him home. He's not an American. He's not an American resident. He's not an American citizen. He's not here legally. He broke into the country, committed crimes, was part of MS-13, and was removed under this provision back to his country of origin, all of which is legal and perfectly accessible.
You're saying all these things, and while they might be true, they've not been shown to be true. And the Trump administration claiming that these things are true gives dangerous precedent. No, but if the Trump administration can just claim
to be true.
that a person living here is part of a gang.
He acknowledged it. It's not. He said it in his own asylum cases. In 2019, his own documents, he said, I am part of a gang that if I go back to El Salvador, I will be murdered. I need asylum in America because another gang might murder me. And again, this guy beat his wife. Like, why are Democrats going out of their way to defend the worst of our society? Maybe they should fight this hard for American citizens for once. Like, you want to know why Trump is so popular? The left goes out of their way to fight for foreigners that have broken into our land and commit crimes and that have affiliation with the worst organizations on the planet, while the American citizen is being left behind. That is the power of our movement, and I wish the American left would have some spirit and some fight.
Like, level of education was and why you didn't go to college or dropped out or whatever.
I'm a proud high school graduate.
Okay.
So, and an American entrepreneur that now employs 1,500 people, $100 million budget, millions and millions of people follow us, and I didn't have to go to college to do that. And so if people think college is for them, then great.
Okay, how did you get there?
Through hard work and grit and determination and traveling.
Did you make connections with other people? Did you network?
Yeah, and actually college wouldn't have helped at all for that.
Okay,
and,
how?
Well, because I was trying to meet successful, rich, seasoned, conservative people to seed fund my operation. And if you're trying to find successful conservative people, you don't go to college campuses to find those people usually.
Well, if you look at the crowd, all these people here are conservative, so I don't know what...
Fair enough. Again, emphasis on wealthy, successful business people. I'm sure there's some in the audience.
So you're calling all these people poor?
Well, no, I'm calling them students. Okay, so unless someone here is like a crypto billionaire, I want to meet you. I was looking for seed funding, of which is very normal for a startup operation to do. Okay. But again, I weighed the cost and the benefit. I took a gap year. It's been 13 gap years. However, I am curious, does it matter that I didn't went to college? Do we want to debate resumes or ideas?
No, ideas, not resumes.
Cool. So you are studying to be an actuary. Cool. Explain to me, are you worried at all that artificial intelligence will take your job in 5 years?
I've asked a few. I've had many informational interviews with actuaries. I've asked them that same question, and they aren't worried. They actually think that it's going to help actuaries do their job more efficiently, especially with like computing on the computer. So I mean, but the job itself isn't going to go away because of AI.
But there might be less actuaries.
Well, it's a very secure job, so I'm not worried.
I mean, again, I know dangerously little about an actuary, but let's say that you're an actuary for an insurance company.
Yes.
I would imagine part of being an actuary for Allstate or State Farm would be the synthesizing and the collection of tens of millions of data points, finding trends and averages, and then trying to project where that data is going to go, right?
Yeah.
Objectively, artificial intelligence is going to be better than 99% of human beings with that way. And there's no human cost, and you can run it 24 hours a day. So you're right, there still might need actuaries to make final determinations. But again, I don't know enough about it. But to say that AI won't touch your field, I think it will. In fact, I think it will lower the head count and make entry-level new graduates from schools like this with actuary degrees or math degrees not nearly as important as it was 10 years ago. Hence my hypothesis that college is a scam, that a lot of people here are getting degrees that will be replaced by robots or artificial intelligence, and half the audience, if you get a job, that actually half the jobs that are available that kids end up getting don't even require college degrees in the first place.
Okay, but so you're saying AI is just going to totally replace everything?
Not everything, no. I said, I'm hypothesizing. I don't know enough about what actuaries do, but
yeah.
You heard my 30-second shtick, somewhat directionally correct, I imagine, right?
Sure.
Because insurance companies, the backbone of how insurance companies make money are actuaries, because they have to know what to pay for rates and then pay out for, hurricanes or fires or are people going to drop dead. They have to project that data into the future. I mean, AI is really good at math right now. It's getting better, and it's getting better, and it's getting better. And so if we get to a place where they think it's going to get, and you're a business owner, why employ 5,000 actuaries that require benefits and health care?
Well, what about the human element? Like, an AI can predict something, but a human can outweigh whether or not that's the right decision or not.
Oh, of course, no. I'm saying the headcount of actuaries will inevitably go down. So you'll end up with like 100 really seasoned actuaries, and all the 4,990 people, 900 would probably be largely unnecessary, because the number crunching, the data synthesizing, the projecting can be done much quicker and even more accurately in a shorter period of time.
Yeah, I mean, we are already using computers to calculate data with coding. So I don't know what you're trying to say here.
Well, this is much different, though. The AI can assume some of the human characteristics to be able to blend data models, project them, think analytically. AI is even more advanced than what you are seeing publicly. It's way more advanced.
Yeah.
It's like 2 years more advanced. The private artificial intelligence of what companies are paying for right now would blow your mind what they can actually get. So again, I don't know enough about actuaries to be able to make a determination, but if I were guessing, I would say that 90% of actuaries are going to be out of work in the next 10 years.
Okay, so can we go back to the original question with college being a scam? Though?
Yeah, but that's part of the point, is that if you're borrowing money...
But not just actuaries, not just me, but like other majors, other jobs. You always talk about like social, like liberal arts majors, but what about like, I don't know, like teachers? Teachers need to get credentials.
Well,
and all
teachers
that.
are also going to largely be replaced by artificial intelligence.
Well, why would we do that?
Well, but it's already happening. It's not a matter of why. Again, I actually think there's some problems with it.
You would like a
No, I'm not
kindergarten
saying
to be
it.
taught by an AI?
I'm observing a trend. I'm not even saying it's good. I'm saying it's happening.
Okay.
I'm saying that we are seeing teacher headcount go down across the country because...
Well, also because it's hard to make a living being a teacher.
Well, also AI is far more customizable. It actually is able to have learning plans based on a lot of different characteristics of the individual student. We're seeing kindergartners across the country use it. I'm not saying it's a good thing. I actually think we lose the human element of teaching.
Yeah.
We can agree on that, but it's happening, right? So we could fight the future. It's the direction it's going. So the question, increasingly, the answer is no. Again, half the kids in this audience, I'll reiterate it because I wasn't as clear as I should have been. Half the kids in this audience, if they get a job, they'll end up getting a job that doesn't require a college degree, rendering their time here largely useless.
But they network here and they make friends and stuff.
You also can network outside of college. You realize that, right?
Yeah.
If the argument is that this is a glorified LinkedIn, if that's what college has become,
I'm not really trying to make that point.
Then make the point is why 80% of kids are here that should be in college. Like,
well, if you go to college and you have it on your resume, you have a degree. What that shows is that you can finish something. and that you are trustworthy of finishing something.
Increasingly, people are looking for kids that didn't go to college. In fact, they're bringing back competency tests and IQ tests. Increasingly, it matters less and less of the credential, matters more and more of the competency and the character of the applicant you're looking at. Look, you are right, in certain fields they require a college degree. Respect, totally right. But that's
So where do they go then? Where do they go?
For what?
In no college, where do they go?
Well, we need more welders, entrepreneurs, carpenters,
people
HVAC.
already going. I had an old roommate. He left to become an electrician.
And he's going to end up making a lot more money than most of the people in this audience, actually.
Okay, so what do they do? Everyone's becoming an electrician. Everyone becomes.
You know, we have 11 million open jobs in this country right now that pay more than $80,000 or more a year that don't require a college degree.
They just become, they just go there.
Well, yes. So, for example, let's
no
be
education?
honest. Well, hold on. Just because you don't have a degree doesn't mean you don't have an education. You can be a lifelong learner right now because we have these supercomputers in our right-hand pocket. You can take Hillsdale online courses. You could do the Peterson Academy. You can listen to deep podcasts. You could learn more by listening to 50 hours of Joe Rogan talk to scientists than, I don't know, than the sociology department here at Washington State University. So. But the point being is just because you did not go to college or get a degree does not mean you are not cultured or that you are not in pursuit of knowledge. We actually have more opportunities for people to be wise and to understand the world than ever before. But let me just reiterate it. Many of the people here in college are in college because there's a shame element to becoming a carpenter. There's a shame element to becoming an electrician. No one wants to say, oh, I work construction. And no parent is like a proud parent. They're like, what's Johnny doing? Oh, Johnny's become a welder. It's like that's kind of looked down upon. Instead, it's like, oh, my kid goes to Washington State or my kid goes to UW. There's nothing necessarily wrong with that, but we have 11 million job openings in this country that people simply
really divided. Like, with all of the people right here, you get to hear like a really big protest going on right over there.
Our crowd's bigger, but that's...
yeah. Why do you think we have become so divided as a country?
Yeah, it's not actually a stupid question. I mean, part of it is, look, it's going to sound like overly simple, but I do want to ask a question to prove my point. The side that believes in freedom of speech is the side that I believe is on the right side of history.
Yeah.
Has there been an instance, guys, where a liberal has had an open mic on campus where conservative kids can ask questions and you guys feel respected? How many of you kids here on campus, raise your hand, do you feel as if you're graded down if you come out as a Trump supporter or conservative? This is the why we're so divided. Look around. And I hope the professor is still here to heal this country. I'm trying to find common ground. We're trying to look at each other as fellow citizens. Conservatives on campus are treated terribly. Just the other day, by the way, is that student here, the student that got punched in the face? Where is he? Come on up here. This kid's amazing. What's your name again? Jay. So this is Jay. He has a gift for me. That's fine. So Jay got punched in the face by a professor here at Washington State University because he was wearing a MAGA hat. Here. Okay, I'll open the... Do you want me to open the gift now? Okay. Come on up here, Jay. So Jay, I don't want to put you on the spot. So you got punched in the face. You got punched in the face by a professor here. What happened?
Well, basically, so what happened, everyone, was I was walking to Valhalla to get my food exchanged, and PhD student Patrick Mahoney, as well as his accomplice, Gerald Hoff, did not like the hat I was wearing, all right? Or Patrick, whatever. And when my head was down, remember, I made zero eye contact with him. He saw my hat. He ripped the hat off my head, crumbled it. I had to go confront him and say, what are you doing, dude? Because he had the hat on it. Then he told me to go get it. I'm sorry. Then after that, of course, he leaned towards me. So like you see, I had to go throw my food at his face. And then no, he did, because I thought he was about to throw a punch. What happened to him? What happened next? He charged at me. I had to stand, my ground. And then also Gerald Hoff also came at me too. Gerald grabbed my leg. I was falling down. Patrick grabbed my chest, slammed it on the road pavement. Then he grabbed my head and also slammed it on the road pavement as hell. And when he did that, I remember, oh my goodness, no. So on like far left, like Reddit and also Discords, crush the heads of your opposition, crush the heads of your fascist when he did that.
And this was a professor, right?
Yeah, he was teaching 103.
Teaching 103. So, by the way, God bless you, man. Thank you so much. That was really great. Thank you. This is why we're divided. I hate to put it that way, but if a conservative professor would have hunted down a Kamala Harris wearing student, it would have been a hate crime and the #1 news story in the country. Now we could barely get attention for a young man who was punched by a professor here at Washington State University. They're the ones dividing the country. We're the ones trying to heal it. Thank you.
Hi, Charlie. First off, it's great to meet you. Yeah, sure. I think we definitely need more room for open discussion between the left and the right. And I think that the lack of that is what has contributed to so much, polarization in our country. But I do have one particular policy question for you. So I was watching a video of yours about a week or two ago, and you were talking about the Biden pill penalty and the Inflation Reduction Act, if you recall this. And not to misquote you, but I believe your exact words were, gutting medical care research to fund green energy giveaways. Is that correct? Does that sound about right?
Yes, but I should have been much more precise. I could tell you why I don't like the pill penalty, if you'd like.
Okay, I'll continue.
But I
my
acknowledge
question,
I could have been more precise.
So from my understanding from reading the bill is that there are two separate streams. So the green energy reform comes from corporate taxation, and the decrease in medical research that you're talking about comes from lowering prescription drug prices, which in turn could lower the amount of medical research. But it's projected that in 30 years we could see a 1% decrease in that. And just to add a final point to my question, you seemed very bothered about how this would disrupt medical research, but I haven't heard you speak out yet about all the funding and the money that Trump has withheld from multiple institutions that do medical research. So I just like.
It's a great question. What's your name?
Shay.
Shay, thank you. That's a great question. Okay. Very policy specific. I'm gonna do my best to answer without boring the crowd. So number one, I'm a big believer in private incentives and a reduction of public funding. So if someone were to come up, let's just take a drug, and I'm very anti-pharmacological agents most of the time. But a drug that is objectively really good for humanity is a statin, Like statins are really, really good. They lower your cholesterol. I would prefer you lower your cholesterol in other ways. Cholesterol isn't also the killer people think it is, but there is a correlation sometimes with high LDL levels and heart attacks. We can agree with that.
Yes.
If someone was to create the statin and all of a sudden there was not a profit motive for them to be able to sell that product, then why invest all that money in the research and the development? So that's where I come from on this, is that if we are to find drug breakthroughs, then the people that are investing that money need to have an incentive to do so. And that is one of the reasons why America has led the way in some of the most exciting drug advancements of the last 20 or 30 years. Public funding does not always have that same sort of incentive structure. Now, to strongman my own argument against me, some of the greatest medical advancements have come through public funding, but not all of them. And so it's a mixture. So what the Biden pill penalty did, part of the Inflation Reduction Act, is it would have severely jeopardized the patent window, basically, that a successful drug would have had, basically de-incentivizing future investment in drug breakthroughs that could have helped a lot of people.
Yeah, so I completely understand.
Does that make sense?
So
yeah.
I completely understand when you're talking about incentives and how if the incentive is lower, that we're not going to see as much production of new drugs. But we've seen policies like this go into effect in multiple other countries that have much better healthcare and better research than us. You see this in Switzerland, you see this in Germany and Norway. Much of the Scandinavian countries that have very fortified healthcare systems have already adjusted to this.
You are right that they have lower costs, but do they have this robust innovation? No. Now Germany does. Germany has a very good drug industry. So that would be an exception. To grant you a point, Germany has some of the best drug company, I think Bayer is not that great company. But anyway, the point being, they're very innovative.
Yeah.
So it's a balance. I tend to lean on the side of innovation, not on the side of price controls.
Okay, but it's great having these drugs and them being available to the public, but where I think I disagree with you is what's the point of having these drugs if they're so inaccessible to the consumer base that it's great having.
That's a good argument. Yeah. So you have to find some sort of a medium. I think Biden reached too far.
Okay.
Where the potential biotech market was, again, it could have been alarmism, but at least the story that I was presented would have been a flight of capital. And that's a serious problem. For example, there is not a robust biotech industry in Sweden.
I can completely agree
Right.
with that. We're the headquarters, like we are the epicenter of the world. when
And
it
I
comes
don't
to
think we
biotech
should lose
industry.
that. Like,
Yeah.
again, I say this as a Maha guy who thinks we take way too many pills,
Mhm.
but there are some potentially very exciting drugs, like, for example, for kids that have like life-threatening illnesses,
Mhm.
like stuff that we can all agree that we want to try to see breakthroughs on, right?
Yeah.
And we can also get to root causes. But I don't want to see us lose the biotech edge. And I hate to always like pull this card, but China is catching up to us on biotech.
Mhm.
And I think it would be awful if all of a sudden they're the ones that control the IP to potentially life-saving drugs for our kids.
Okay, so
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
final
so
point.
I understand what you're saying. My question for you then on that: if you're against the Biden pill penalty, I'm yet to hear you propose an alternative to that. How would you recommend bringing down prescription drug prices while maintaining that research? If
The
that's what you
only
think?
solution that I have found is you have to make it quicker and easier to get drug approvals.
Okay.
As that there's too much waiting time for research and development and testing and trial,
Mhm.
and you have to be able to get from inception to drug to market way quicker. You have to compress that time frame,
Mhm.
which would then create a lot more competition in the biotech market,
Yeah.
which would then inevitably, hopefully, lower prices.
And just one tiny question for you, just because I've been wondering how you feel about this. You're obviously clearly very pro-tariff, pro-protectionism when it comes to bringing back like the American economy and the American workforce. How did you feel about the Chips and Science Act, the bipartisan act that Biden helped bring in?
Some of it was really good.
Okay.
Some of it I really didn't like.
I can understand that. I can
Some
accept
of it, like I live in Arizona.
Yeah.
And part of what was part of that bill was
Mhm.
bringing the Taiwanese semiconductor industry to Phoenix.
that. Yeah.
We have like 10,000 new jobs. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So some of it was actually pretty good.
Okay.
Thank you for your time.
Great, I
Thank you,
appreciate
Shay.
that. Have a great
Very
day.
thoughtful question. Thank you. Give him should go, everybody. That's great. Sebastian, give it up for that.
Like this? Is that good? Is that good? Can you hear?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, Charlie, how you doing? Good. So, I have a question. Charlie, you talk a lot about patriotism and supporting our troops. So I want to ask you, why did you and your movement have outrage when Joe Biden checked his watch when the 13 service members were coming home, but no outrage when Donald Trump is going golfing when 4 service members come home dead?
You have to tell me more. So you would have liked to see President Trump go and visit when they, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree that checking the watch is probably disrespectful as well. But
Now I will make one distinction, if that's okay.
Go for it.
Joe Biden was responsible for those 13 guys that died. Donald Trump was not. Now, Donald Trump called all those families. He wrote them all letters. Now, what do I mean by that? Those 13 service members, when Joe Biden checked his watch, was because of Joe Biden's reckless withdrawal from Afghanistan. He was solely responsible for the death of those 13 people. The 4 men that Donald Trump did not go to the funeral service of which I think J.D. Vance did, for the record. But fair, you could have an opinion on that.
Yeah.
It was because of a training exercise. That's a big difference. Donald Trump was not responsible for their death, where Joe Biden was responsible for all 13 of those dying at that gate at the terrible withdrawal in Kabul.
It was a golf tournament. It was a golf tournament. It wasn't just some training
No,
exercise.
I understand. And again, I would bet you money that Donald Trump goes and counsels the families and goes above and beyond, of which is his reputation. He's been known to go above and beyond for family and service members. He hosted all 13 of the families, the people that lost their lives in Afghanistan. And just so we are clear, Joe Biden never called the families of those 13 that lost their lives in Kabul. And so you can have your own opinions about that, but you have to be morally clear about the differences between 4 terrible, awful deaths that die in a training exercise versus 13 that die because of a commander-in-chief being derelict in his duty.
If Donald Trump does not do what you said he did with the 13 soldiers, will you condemn it?
Well, again, if Donald Trump shows no remorse or sympathy, doesn't write a letter or doesn't send them,
Right.
Well, yeah, I would.
You
You know
would
what I would do?
condemn that?
No, I wouldn't condemn it. I'd call him and
No?
tell him to do it.
Okay, do it. Have him do it then.
Well, I bet he already has. I don't know every detail about this, but I would bet you a lot of money that President Trump has been incredibly magnanimous, charitable, generous, and empathetic towards those 4 soldiers. I could say that just because I know the man, I know his heart, and I know how he aches whenever anybody dies, especially service members in our wonderful military.
Okay, what about when he disrespected John McCain, calling him not a war hero because he is captured?
Okay, well, that was a long time ago. For the record, this was
Still.
an ongoing dispute between John McCain and President Trump. And for the record, Outside of John McCain's service in Vietnam, let's be very morally clear. John McCain's foreign policy has been responsible for the unjust death of nearly 1 million people in the Middle East. So spare me where I'm not going to go out of my way to defend John McCain, who was basically the author of the Iraq War, of the Libyan Civil War, of intervention in Syria, of saber-rattling against Iran, of saying that Russia is one of our greatest enemies. John McCain was a neoconservative, just like George W. Bush. And so it was part of a long dispute between McCain and Trump. And honestly, Trump made good on it when he sent Air Force One to go have John McCain's 9th funeral in 4 days. You guys remember this? It was like the world's longest funeral. And so if we want to dig up something Trump said 10 years ago, I
have service members in my family that were Vietnam War vets, and I think calling them suckers and losers is not a good thing.
He never said that. Now this is where we're getting into fraud territory. He never said suckers and losers. You are right of what he said about McCain.
White House people confirmed he said it.
No, it was by Jeffrey Goldberg from The Atlantic. We know that slippery little snake that he is.
That's not patriotism.
The chief of staff and the national security advisor that hates him, John Bolton, said that he never said that about the D-Day. So do not come up here and peddle hoaxes. You have to be very accurate. You have to look at original source documents. But he never said suckers and losers. President Trump would never believe that, think that. In fact, he's been a wonderful fighter for America's military and will continue to do so. He never said suckers and losers. That is not correct.
We can dispute that, but sure.
There's no evidence.
All right.
Do you have another thing on your piece of paper you'd like to mention?
No, just that you're a coward and not a patriot.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, yeah, you're good. Hello, Charlie. Hope you're doing well today. My name is Doug, and I came today because I'm not really political generally, to be honest. I'm not even registered to vote, to be honest. So I just came here to kind of exchange like the marketplace of ideas, not to like debate or anything, but just to exchange the marketplace of ideas. And so I had a question about a policy that I'm kind of conflicted on myself, to be honest. So I wanted to hear your opinion. So I was wondering, and please let me know if I'm like misinterpreting your political positions, but you are pro-life generally. Would that be a correct assessment? So I was wondering, very much so. All right, so yeah, I just wanted to check. So if given the opportunity, that is like a hypothetical question, would you go and abort Hitler before he was born, or would you raise him?
That's a very good question. That's actually a morally good question.
Yeah.
That's not. It could come across as a troll, but continue.
Well, I'm asking the other scenario is if you would maybe allow him to be brought to term so he could be raised in an environment where, like, similar to how Kanye West said he became more sympathetic to Jewish people after watching 21 Jump Street. Would you raise him in an environment like that instead, so maybe he would be a better person?
All right, now you're trolling. But
okay, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to ask you the question.
It's a very difficult moral question.
Yeah.
I don't know the answer.
That's fine. Yeah, I don't know the answer either. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you for your time, Charlie.
Thanks. Register to vote.
I sure will, man.
All right.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My name's Isabel. It's nice to meet you. First of all, I appreciate you having an open forum and not just talking at people, like giving a chance for people to ask questions. So I appreciate that. My question is, I tried to ask someone that knew, but I don't know if on your stance, if a woman is raped, if they should be able to have an abortion or not.
The baby's life should be protected is my position. So.
Okay. Are you aware of Lisa Medina's case?
Was this the Ohio young lady that had to go to another state to get an abortion?
No,
Okay.
she was a Peruvian woman. Well, she was a kid. She was
12, this is the 10 or 11-year-old? Or
5, actually. She was 5 years old, and she had issues with her her reproductive tract, and she was pregnant. She was sexually abused, and she got pregnant at 5 years old.
I am familiar with the 5-year-old. Just so we can both agree, it's a real case that is extraordinarily rare. I mean, it's like a 1 in 300 million case to be able to get pregnant before the age of even 10 or 11.
I agree,
Okay.
but it's...
There's been like 12 documented cases.
Okay, I feel like 12 is still a good amount. Like 12 is still a fair amount of people. You know, they're real people, they're real children.
Yeah, 12 over 60 years is small, but it is real, so please continue.
Okay, so, I mean, rape is pretty common, right? Would you agree with that?
It is, yes. However, there's a lot of fake rape claims as well. But, I mean, rape is not nearly as common as people say it is, but yes.
Okay, well, it's still a pressing issue. I think anyone here could agree that rape is a pressing issue. But
For sure, it happens.
I don't understand how someone could argue that the 5-year-old should carry a baby to term. I don't understand how a 5-year-old girl could raise a child, how that child would be given a better life. I understand that you're giving the child life, but I don't understand.
Well,
and I know you have kids. How old are your kids?
2 years and 2 years and 1 year. So,
okay, so if you have really young kids in 3 years, 3 years is not a long time. I won't even have graduated in 3 years. Would you be okay with your child having
again,
another baby?
This idea of 5-year-olds getting pregnant is so insanely rare.
That's not my question.
No, it is. Like, it's not even worth even addressing. However, like, elementally, there's another issue to your problem, which is if they are 5-year-old getting pregnant, their life is in jeopardy. That actually is not the pressing issue of how they got conceived, right? So there's two separate things. Woman's life in jeopardy. Or
the 5-year-old's life wasn't in jeopardy. They had a C-section. It was perfectly healthy.
Then
so that's not the issue there.
Yeah, then the baby shouldn't be aborted.
Okay, so you'd be okay with your 2-year-old in 3 years having a baby?
Well, no, I wouldn't be okay, but would I be okay with terminating another life? No.
So you would rather your daughter at 5 have a baby than have it aborted?
Yes, I would not be able to live with blood in my hands. Would you?
Okay, I think...
No, but let's walk through this. Would you be okay walking into an abortion clinic, hearing a heartbeat, seeing brainwaves, seeing the baby on the ultrasound and say...
Yes. I think...
Wow, that's really, like, that's dark.
But that's not my question. That's why I
No,
didn't want to...
it absolutely is your question. The question is, you asked me would I be okay with it. You said yes. There's no moral difference between a baby conceived in rape or not.
There is 100% a moral difference.
Really?
Also, you're...
No, time out. Wait, someone in this audience is conceived in rape. Do you know who it is?
I have no idea.
Because they're all human beings, regardless of how they were conceived.
Okay, but that doesn't...
Oh, no, because there's no moral difference of the human being's method of conception. You don't get more rights if you're not raped or less rights if you're raped. You're a human being regardless. Universal human rights apply to all people regardless if they come from a loving family or they come from a horrific, evil tragedy like rape.
Okay, but what about the life and the moral well-being of the mother? And I think as a man, it's something that's harder to understand. If you are raped and you have to go through carrying that baby, that's something you will never be able to understand. And I can agree, that's why I didn't want to debate abortion. I just wrote a paper on abortion. I can totally understand how, in the cases outside of rape, incest, or the life of the mother, how it could be seen as murder or things like that. But I'm specifically talking about rape.
No, I got it. You could see it as it's seen as murder. Then why would murder be the answer to rape? That's exactly what you're postulating.
That is not what I'm... That's not the answer to rape.
I agree. So life should be the answer to rape is what we're saying. And if a baby is conceived in rape, you don't all of a sudden say, let's do something more evil because something evil happened. By no moral standard do two wrongs make a right. We know that. We're raised saying that. And so when evil thing happens, human life created, that human has rights, we have to respect them, including the right to life.
And I'm saying I don't think you will ever be able to possibly come close to understanding as a man what it is like to be raped and have to carry that baby and relive all of that trauma. You will never be able to understand that. That's not what I'm talking about here.
The point being is, like, are we allowed to discuss stuff just because we don't know what it's like to be the other sex? Are we allowed
I would
to have
not be allowed to
opinion?
discuss what it's like to get a vasectomy or what it's like to experience that. No,
But have you personally been raped?
No,
Okay,
I have.
then how are
My
you
mother
able to-
has been raped
but
and had to carry the abortion.
point being is, then how are you able to personally be able
because
to talk
I'm a
about
woman
it?
and I...
You're using a fallacy called a argument from authority, that if you only have a certain merit badge or a certain distinction, you're allowed to have opinions on that topic. Men can have opinions on this just because we have prostates and not uteruses.
Okay, and I agree. You can have your
Yes.
opinion. I'm not saying you can't have an opinion, but I'm saying you can't begin to understand the depth of what that would feel like to be raped by someone and have to carry that baby.
Yes, and equally, there are millions of women who regret having their abortions. I mean, so what is the argument? The argument is that...
Honestly, I wanted to know about the
agree.
5-year-old and if you would like your 5-year-old child to have a baby.
Of course, I would not like it. You are putting in an impossible moral situation of, would I be comfortable slitting the throat of a baby on an ultrasound machine?
It's not impossible because it has happened. And
Okay,
I guess 12 times, according to
12
you.
times in 60 years. I mean, it's so insanely improbable for a 5-year-old to go through prepubescent puberty and then get impregnated because they were raped. It's like you have a much higher likelihood of, like, I mean, it's like much higher likelihood of winning the lottery twice than that happening.
Okay.
Just so we are clear.
Okay.
And again, but I answered your question coming in good faith. But would you agree then we can outlaw all other abortions except rape, life of the mother, and incest?
I wouldn't necessarily agree, but I would have to think more about that. But my main issues are with rape, incest, and life
And
of the
again,
mother.
my contention is that it doesn't stop being a human being just because of how that baby came into existence.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I am part of the Washington State rugby team here on campus.
That's
Yes.
a tough sport, man.
Yeah, we actually just won the conference, and
Wait, you the Pac-12 of 2 teams?
no, it's
So you beat Oregon State.
we're a club.
I'm trolling you.
sport.
I'm
I know,
trolling
I know.
you.
We're a club sport, so we make our own conference. But we just got invited to nationals, and we have no way to get there. So I was wondering if we could get some sort of fundraiser going, so we can compete in nationals in Washington.
How much
DC.
money do you guys need?
Like 10, 15 grand would do it.
Okay.
We just need to get there. We
Where-
just need, we
wait,
just
not-
need to
you don't need to get back?
No. Yeah, we do need to get back too.
Where
but
is
we
nationals?
can cover Washington D.C.
Oh, DC. Wow.
D.C. It wouldn't be fun to compete for
When
the
is it?
national championship in our
When is it?
capital. It is next weekend.
Next weekend.
Next weekend. I think that you can do it. If anybody can do it, Charlie, it's you.
Okay. If you can raise half, I'll put up the other half.
Let's do it.
All right.
Okay.
But not here. Go if you go figure it out. We'll the Charlie Kirk show. We'll put it. But you better not do this like private skimming stuff. Like. Of
course not, sir.
We need receipts. Like you're
Yes,
flying
sir.
Spirit Airlines. Like
Yes,
you know.
sir. Yes,
you know,
sir. We will
staying
we will
days in.
raise, We will raise half the money to get to nationals. Thank you.
And then we'll match it. All right. Our team
Great.
will be in touch.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. You better be telling the truth. All right. Not some sort of like he's launching a crypto coin or something, you know? Yeah, and then talk to our team. I'm telling you, you match half, we'll do half, you'll be at nationals, okay? By the way, why doesn't the school pay for this? They got enough money. Why am I have to do this? But
Our athletics are kind of low on funds right now, and we're not sponsored by athletics. We're sponsored by the rec, which
it's
doesn't
all
get
this
a lot.
bureaucracy. You
Yeah,
guys,
exactly.
don't get me started. But why don't they put that sociology professor on leave and use that money to have you go to the finals, right? Anyway, so we'll do half.
Hello there. I'd like to say thank you for doing this. I enjoy talking politics with my friends and everything, so I thank for this open environment. However, I think a big issue is that people just kind of find like a diehard and they're not willing to like say that they're wrong in certain aspects. So I'd like to ask you, just as a preface to all of this, will you admit that with Trump, what he ran on, from my perspective, was largely the fact that he would end wars and the economy would be better rather instantly is what he was rather pushing for. However, the wars are still going on. We're still seeing crimes against humanity in Palestine and such forth. So will you admit that he was lying, or at least didn't come through on his promises?
No. I mean, he's trying to end the Russian-Ukrainian war. He resisted. Here's how amazing Trump is. Israel was like, we're going to go bomb Iranian nuclear sites. And Trump's the one that stopped Israel from doing that. It's a big deal. You can acknowledge that's big, right?
Yes.
And so as far as the economy, we're 80 days in. Gas prices are down, egg prices are down. We're going to see a major tax bill. How about we can agree? Let's talk in 1 year about the economy. Cool? Because it's way too early. Let's give Trump a year.
See, I would like that, but the issue that I have with it is the fact that he said the second he gets in, like within the first week, I can't remember what his exact words were, he's like, I'll make a call to Russia and we'll get this ended. That was his promise, is what I'm having an issue with.
Fair enough, yes. There is political bravado at times, but to Trump's credit, we are closer to ending this war than escalating it. Steve Witkoff just sat down with Vladimir Putin, who is his special envoy, for 5 hours. It's an incredibly difficult situation to end, and I do want to see the wars end. I mean, you and I have an agreement. I happen to be on the pro-Israel side, and I think what's happening to some of the civilians in Gaza is terrible. I want to see that come to an end.
The rape and the murder and everything, yes.
Well, I don't. Do you have evidence of IDF soldiers raping women?
There's a case with the rape, and that was discussed in the Israel government, I do believe, with some of their official members.
Yeah, I'm not aware of that, but yeah. So sure, of course I don't support that.
But how Trump is for like the lower class of people, we see like with his tax. I know you've talked about it a bit with his tax cut, and hopefully that comes through and that helps us. However, the tax cuts that push for the top 1% of people, compared to him cutting Medicare, Medicaid, and processes that help millions of Americans, I'm failing to see how that's, and under the disguise of saying that is for money, but he's allowing less money to come into our
let's go through the
government.
3 things that Democrats are going to vote against. No tax on tips. That's a work.
Knowledgeable about
I mean,
this,
she
though.
did run the SBA. She ran the Small Business Big. She
Uh-huh.
ran a multi-billion-dollar business. I
But
mean,
then into the Department of Education, which is a different stance, though.
yeah. I mean, who would you rather have run the Department of Ed? Like a teacher's never run anything, or
Probably someone's a bit more education into actual education processes.
Not really.
I'm
We-
not saying like a teacher,
We had
but you
former
have to have
teachers.
government
Arnie
knowledge.
Duncan was the head of Department of Education under Obama, and he was a former teacher. He
Mhm.
was a disaster. Our education department and our education standards in this country are some of the worst on the planet in the industrialized world. It's largely because we centralize things in D.C. that should be sent to the states and sent to parents and sent to families in local areas. And the president's making good on his promise to abolish the Department of Education.
But in countries like in Europe, like Sweden, they have a much higher education level than we do, and they have their government has a much more involved program in the school
They actually have
system
full school
themselves.
choice in Sweden. Do you know that? Do you know they have full school choice in Sweden? Full school vouchers. You can choose any school of your liking.
But the government also is more involved in their schooling. I
Yes
believe.
and no. We don't have school choice in this country. You guys don't have school choice in Washington. The money doesn't follow the child here in the state of Washington.
Yeah.
You know they don't have overbearing teacher unions in Sweden. So you got to do a little more research on some of this stuff. It sounds good. It feels good. It might be a meme you saw on social media. There's a lot more depth on this stuff. I encourage you to keep doing your research. Thank you for your time. Got to get to the next question. Thank you. And again, if you guys disagree, you guys can come to our wonderful team here, and they'll work you through the train here.
Hey, I'm from Germany, so thanks for complimenting on our
Guten
innovation.
Tag.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Hi.
Deutschland über alles.
No, not quite.
You don't like your country? No?
I love my country and I'm a patriot.
No, I'm kidding,
but yes, I'm just visiting my in-laws here, so it's awesome to be here today. I don't see how the peace through strength that I actually think Trump did in the first term is working out this time, and my worry is that the second term is going downhill really fast as far as foreign policy goes, because as far as Russia goes, they've so far just answered with further attacks on civilians as well on Palm Sunday, which even Trump called a mistake. And after golfing at
That is true.
Yes, and after golfing at Mar-a-Lago with a European leader, he was at least like softly threatening with further sanctioning the Russian economy, but he hasn't done it so far. And I don't understand why Trump, if he thinks he's a strong leader, after proposing a 30-day ceasefire, which Putin disagreed, then he wanted to narrow it down to just energy infrastructure, which is in his interest, because the Ukrainians have a couple of points where they're actually pretty good. One of them is energy infrastructure. So it was a bad deal, and he already got concessions from the Ukrainian side.
What's the question? Yeah.
Well, says that he's a strong leader. Why is he not getting Putin to agree with him? And why do you see that they are closer to an agreement than they have been during the Biden administration? I don't think Biden did a good job because they had no strategy. But
Biden wasn't even talking to him. I guess, so as a German, let me first comment on the NATO thing. Trump proposing 5% is to try to make good on the many years where Germany was under 2%. So for many years we paid for NATO, and this is just catching up for that.
Correct.
That's fair
Yes.
or unfair, that's his belief. But you can agree, for 30 years we've paid the lion's share of NATO costs. America has. And I don't hate NATO. I inherently don't think it's a bad idea. I do think we shouldn't have NATO expansion. I think that's been a mistake. But
NATO's expansion as far as Ukraine, or also as far as
Ukraine and
Sweden?
Finland, I think, was a mistake. Finland is very Russian in a lot of ways, and you can even acknowledge
Yes, but I mean Russia pushed them into NATO. with
I know, but
invading.
Finland was even neutral in World War II. I mean, like, it was like Finland is a very edge case. You as a European would respect that.
Of course, it's fine.
It's
But
fine.
let's not get into
I don't want to get
Finland.
into that, but I
Let's-
would just
yes.
ask the question, because this is the most important question. Here's the way that we look at it as Americans. Through door A, we can continue this war. We will give more armaments to Ukraine, and 1 million more people are going to die. For what?
Not helpful. I agree. Yes.
Yeah, and then door B is to try to find some settlement. Do you think we should try door B more than door A?
Absolutely,
Okay,
but
we
I think
agree.
he should put the same type of pressure on both sides.
So what- yeah, fair
because
enough.
right now I think he should just sanction Russia and see where they're going. Because right now
I don't
just
think
push
you're
them
incorrect.
further.
I don't think you're incorrect. Russia thinks they're winning, and they are.
And they are,
So, but the question is then, what else can we do to Russia? Because Joe Biden did so much. I mean, they dumped their dollar bills from their reserves. I mean, there's very little that we can continue to do to Russia
I think
outside
you
of
could-
supplying more weapons.
Yeah, but like for example, supplying more weapons. Like there's like
That's a no-go for us.
But why can't you supply more weapons as long as Putin doesn't agree to a ceasefire? I'm great,
because
and I think
we have a
ceasefire
different
would be
view
good.
of the war than Biden. We don't think it's primarily America's responsibility to hold up Ukraine.
Okay, I agree with that.
So we just have
but
a
now-
different philosophy.
Okay, that's fine, but like you bordered on the horrible withdrawal from Kabul. I think that no matter what Biden did, like this is what Trump inherited. So that's how democracies work. So he can't do anything about what his predecessor did. Now he's in this place, and I think that if you just drop out and after saying in 24 hours I'll solve this war, and not getting it fixed, and just saying we'll stop being active there at all, I think that will have major ramifications for all the other
Let me ask you, though.
foreign policy.
Let me find where I think we disagree. Do you think we should grow closer to Russia or further away from them diplomatically?
Well, I think you can grow closer to them, but
we
I
agree.
think you should definitely not grow closer to them as long as they're still fighting civilians and as long as they still keep the war up. Because I think
the
you
bombing that Russia did is morally indefensible. I
yes,
agree.
but so like they are talking, and especially J.D. Vance. So a quick question:
I
Do you
JD a
think
lot.
do you think that Trump and J.D. Vance are in alignment as far as their foreign policy?
Yes.
100%.
I mean, they're not the same carbon copy person, but JD serves at the pleasure of the president. I'm sure JD is more, a little bit more cautious than the president is at times.
Yes, he's less of an interventionist,
Correct.
and I think that, to be honest, I think that Trump is a pragmatist, and J.D. Vance is much more ideological about this whole thing, which you saw a little bit with the Houthi attack, like with the Signal Gate, where apparently he did not want to do the same thing as Trump did, and I just don't see how this is in any way in America's interest.
how do you think-
if you are
yeah.
if you're perceived as a weak partner to negotiate with, because so far,
So your opinion-
the Europeans are definitely thinking, and I think many more other countries as well, that Putin is playing with Trump, and I don't think Trump should be played with.
It's a tough situation. I got it. Thank you for that. And I can tell you're coming from a good perspective. The difficulty is that even bringing the Russians to the table has taken a lot of concessions because of how far apart this was at the beginning. And now, I don't think it would be unreasonable for Trump to be able to use other non-military measures to try to remind Putin that he can't just bomb civilians and we're actually trying to end this war.
I agree.
Where we as America Firsters come, though, we want to see this war ended, and we want this war machine to not be sending more armaments and missiles to a foreign country where they unnecessarily die. And the problem is that as a European, this is much more close to home than it is for us, right?
Yes, absolutely. So I agree with you mostly. I just don't know. Would you also like to have a normalization of the relationships to Russia,
Yes,
even
big
if they continue the war?
It's contingent. That's a good question. I don't know.
Okay, because
Because
I
I-
think if you do that, and that's my main point about NATO, I understand that the states say we want to focus on the Indo-Pacific because that's way more important to you guys than Europe, which I understand.
And for Germany too. I have to
I
say,
agree.
I think China's a bigger threat to Germany than Russia. I really do. I know you might disagree, but
Well, I agree as far as like infrastructure goes. I don't agree as far as the conventional.
Fine.
Yes.
Ground war.
But I agree with you. But I think that what Trump is doing right now is first of all pushing the Europeans more towards China. This is more like as far as the trade stuff goes.
that's an unintended consequence. You're probably right.
Yes, but I also think that you're pushing Russia further to China because I think so. I think that Putin right now thinks
It's too
he
early.
gets away
Too
with
early to
anything.
tell. Too early to tell. So
Well,
you might,
but why do you think that? Why do you see goodwill in Putin? Like he could have agreed to that 30-day ceasefire, no problem. It was more to
I'm not
his
even saying I
interest.
see goodwill in Putin. I'm willing to give peace a chance because that has not been tried. And here's the most frustrating thing. We had a peace deal on the table a week into the war in Istanbul, Turkey, and Tony Blinken and Boris Johnson blew it up.
I agree.
And I know, and there would have been less land for Putin, and it would have been no lives lost. And so this whole thing is so maddening. I trust the president to try to find a resolution here. And as a European, I think you're making very substantive good points. We just have a very different perspective. Why? We've spent $250 billion, right?
Which you might get back with the mineral deal, but we'll see.
Yeah, but also we've been invaded on our southern border while we did that. So it kind of plays into this idea that our leaders care about the foreign and not the immediate. And not to, insult your country, but there has been...
Please don't.
No, I'm just saying, for like 20 or 30 years, the Europeans have been a little asleep at the wheel.
Yes.
They've said America will protect us. We could pay money for other stuff.
Yes, but now
that is changing.
But now we are leveling up.
Finally, but
we just passed a $1 billion debt deal.
I know, but you and I both know Germany does not have a military-industrial base.
No, but this
you guys
is, I think you should have Europe, as far as the economical power on your side, to be able to fight China. Because if you don't have the leverage of saying Europe is on our side in the Indo-Pacific, I think that'll have a major backlash.
That's a smart point. I'm not even disagreeing with that. I want to give President Trump opportunity to end this war, and I'll just repeat this. You have to give him a little more credit, in my opinion, in your calculus of how hard it's been to even get Putin to talk. Because this was an icy relationship.
I agree with that.
No, I know. I just want you to factor that in.
I just think he should pressure them and finally put sanctions on.
Got it.
Can I ask one more question
Yes.
about tariffs?
Very quick,
Okay.
yeah.
So this is like a little bit related because I think you can't quite separate tariffs and foreign policy and other wars. So do you think that Trump is going to get a lot of good deals in the next 90 days?
Oh, yeah. The deals are already happening, yes.
Which ones?
Japan, South Korea. He tweeted out today, or Truth or whatever, Vietnam is coming down the pike. And by good deals, we mean more American products sold in these countries.
Yes, I think that's a little bit one-sided because you guys have the great advantage to export services all over the place.
Germany has a lot of it. No. You guys have BMW and Mercedes and Volkswagen and Bayer and Hugo Boss and Lufthansa.
I agree.
You guys have some really good companies.
BMW, you mentioned BMW.
Yeah,
they
Bavarian
export
Motor
a
Works.
lot from here.
No, that is true. But if they're made here, that's tariff-free.
Yes, but I'm
period.
just,
It's
yes.
zero tariff.
Okay.
But BMW, to your credit, BMW makes a ton of product in America.
Yes. And last question.
But can I ask a question?
Yes.
How many Ford Explorers do you see in Germany?
None, but they're also a little too wide because our streets are
okay,
narrow.
yeah.
So there's
you
issues
Germans
with that.
like your little skinny cars on the Autobahn, right?
Okay, last
Let me
question.
ask you a funnier question. Do you see any Teslas?
Yes, we do. Now with stickers, I bought this before Elon went crazy.
Oh, really? In Germany? Yeah.
Yes. Anyway, one question about
Yeah,
Elon
sure.
Musk. So do you agree that it would be a good idea, which he put forth when he was in Italy, I think 2 weeks ago, to have a free trade zone between America and the EU?
Potentially, only if the EU makes a big promise on LNG.
I think they would be totally willing to.
That's the condition.
Yeah.
If Europe is going to be able to use America as their sole energy source, I think it's a good idea. And if Germany will drop its tariffs on our imported goods.
I think they're willing to.
Okay,
and
then-
I think
then that should be the
I
goal.
think Trump should have a good relationship with Merz, and they should stop supporting
But
the
there's one last thing. Europe has to stop this crackdown on free speech. And
Yes, but look,
Hold on,
JD Vance's speech was good, the first third, but he takes like one instance
No,
from
it's
Britain.
not one instance, my friend. No, in Germany, there are hundreds of instances where they are knocking on doors and arresting people for hate speech violations
But
because
the
they're
thing
racist.
with the abortion clinic would have never happened in Germany, and Britain has a far
This is
left
not even an
government.
abortion clinic. This is for racist
No,
speech
but I'm
online.
saying what JD Vance quoted in his speech at the Munich Security
Got it. I
Conference.
know. I gotta get
where
to the
I
next
also
question,
think
but
he should have talked about
we will
security.
only. I think Europe needs to become a much better protector of freedom of speech than it currently is.
I agree with
And-
that,
and-
but I don't think you should put all the European countries in one box.
Germany's pretty bad.
I think you are wrong about that.
All right.
You should
I'm coming
have
to
good
Germany in
merchants.
May. I hope to see you
All
there.
right. Thanks for talking
Thank
to
you
me.
very much. Hello.
Hi, Charlie. How are you doing?
Good.
Okay, so I just wanted to talk to you about Elon Musk. So I just had like a hypothetical question. So if Elon Musk was 3 inches inside of you and you were 3 inches inside of Trump, which way are you moving?
You guys waited so far in line, and I got that question yesterday. Next
Oh,
question. Thank you.
I missed it.
He thought that was funny.
That's good. That's good. Thank you. Okay. Fist length. Hi, Mr. Kirk. My name's Hudson. I wanted to ask, how is cutting U.S. foreign aid beneficial to the United States?
Well, more money for us. And also not funding countries that hate us, primarily, some of which. We should not be the world's piggy bank.
Well, I feel like soft power is very beneficial as against like providing weapons. It's a very good foreign policy tactic over just
sounds
strong
good.
army.
Has it worked?
I don't. Has it worked?
The last 20 years, has soft power across the world, been, which is a neoconservative talking point, has that been good for America and good for the world?
I feel if we could prevent the death of even a small number of people, giving HIV vaccines, any other vaccines is very beneficial. It can prevent the COVID 2024, 2026 if it was to happen in Africa. I think just stopping another COVID and then another stock market fall would be very beneficial.
Yeah, I don't know what that has to do with USAID money, but
it has everything to do with it. Don't we give a ton of money to Africa for vaccinations of USAID?
well, that's very little. That's a very little portion of it. But most of the money are just blank checks to their governments. They're just here, go spend the money. I mean, in Iraq, we spent $20 million on, a Sesame Street equivalent in Iraq. I mean, the stuff is so ridiculous.
Sesame Street, the Ring Road?
Yeah.
Wait, the Sesame Street, like the.
Yeah, the
yeah,
cartoon.
I know what you're talking about.
So, I mean, look, I asked the question, has it worked? The last 20 years, did soft power work in Libya? Did soft power work in Venezuela? Did soft power work in Somalia? Did soft power work in Iraq? Did it work in Syria? Did it work in Yemen? Did it work in Ukraine? Ukraine's a great example of USAID money. We've pumped tens of billions of dollars into Ukraine. Hasn't really worked. So this idea that we as the country...
I don't agree with your argument because...
Well, then show me an
Ukraine
example where it's worked.
Well, Ukraine is still standing.
Barely. I mean, Ukraine's a destabilized, corrupt country where oligarchs have fleeced their citizens for 30 years because of U.S. taxpayers. 20 years.
Well, I can imagine there's quite a bit of corruption in Ukraine and
quite
Russia. Corruption can be a part of a system. However, I think without the United States, Ukraine would have fell quite quick without the amount of money given.
Yeah, I mean, I would say I don't think Vladimir Putin would have invaded if we didn't say Ukraine was going to go to NATO, which we said multiple times. We largely provoked Vladimir Putin's evil invasion of Ukraine. It was largely provoked by us.
By us?
Yes.
But aren't we quite powerful?
Yes, and we shouldn't have provoked it, is what I'm saying. We should have grown closer to Russia, not further away from it.
I think Russia's always been a pretty bad faith ally throughout history. I think history.
I mean, we did work with them to defeat the Nazis, right? So.
Yeah, and then immediately after that, they were the enemy for 50 years, and
even though, and the question is of whether should happen. Thank you for your time. I got to get to this question.
Thank you.
Who wants hats, everybody? Let's do some. That was a lot of them. Okay, yes.
Okay. Hi, how you doing? My name is Caden, and I was wondering, how do you feel? Yeah.
Quiet down, guys. Oh, yeah, all the way in the back. We'll throw one. I'll get one back. Let me see if I can get one. That's pretty good. Yep.
How would you feel about a legal or a federal, all-wide federal legalization of marijuana?
Yeah. I have the most unpopular opinion on weed.
Okay.
I don't think it should be legalized.
Okay.
Yeah.
So earlier, you stated. Oh, okay. So, would you like to be taught by somebody that
taught?
Taught. Thank you. Thank you. Would you like to be taught by somebody that that smokes marijuana?
No.
Earlier, you said that Joe Rogan would be a better alternative to listen to, if I believe you said 50 hours. That it would be a better alternative to most of these college teachers here.
Again, he ain't doing the teaching, man. He's doing the asking.
Well, you just said he would be a good person to learn from.
His podcast, for sure, yeah. And by the way, for the record, Joe Rogan does a lot harder drugs than marijuana,
well,
okay?
That's what I'm saying.
He does psychedelics, he does LSD, he does mushrooms, he does all sorts of crazy stuff.
Well, this is going on YouTube, so I didn't know
You
what
what?
I could. This is going on YouTube, so I didn't know what I could say.
No, that's fine, yeah, I mean, but I think it's a fun point that you're making.
Yeah, but what's your reasoning for marijuana not being...
I mean, okay, so I guess let's first just go through what we were promised. We were promised that when weed was going to get legalized, less kids were going to use it. Do you agree? That was a talking point?
I mean...
Are less kids doing marijuana? More kids are doing marijuana, number one. Number two, we were told, hey, this is going to prevent them from doing other drugs, and all drug overdoses are going to go down. Are all drug overdoses going down? No, they've been going up dramatically the last couple of years. Number three, they're like, hey, if we legalize weed, it's going to weaken the cartels. Cartels are stronger and richer than ever. They just went to harder drugs and trafficking human beings. Fourth, which I think is an important point, which is, do you want to try to get drug usage up, or do you want to try to get drug usage down? and excuse. I'm like, some people say up. Like, fine. I don't actually want to live in a hyper-medicated, substance-addicted society. Personally, I see what it's done to my home state of Arizona. It has brought in more crime. It's brought in more homelessness. It's brought in a lot of kids that got unnecessarily addicted to these substances. And so, yeah, I mean, look, I think for all those reasons, we should not rush to try to make more things that are illegal legal, which is different than alcohol, which is currently legal to make it illegal. But again, if we want to talk about alcohol, alcohol is really bad for you too. Like, way too many people drink. People are very violent when they drink. There's a lot of domestic abuse. So
how come alcohol is able to be legal though when weed's not? When like the effects of alcohol make somebody more like, violent.
Can we agree alcohol should be illegal?
Yeah, but you know, they tried that and it didn't work out.
No, it actually worked pretty well. You should all study prohibition. It actually worked pretty well. Violence, crime went down. Like there was a lot just happened, and a lot of people
there was
wanted.
Actually a bunch of like uprisings in a bunch of like cities.
Yeah, there were uprisings. It's fine. It's like, I guess people need to be able to medicate them. It's fine, I guess, but is that going to make us super competitive against China? Is like more kids doing dope and more kids doing weed? It's a lot. And by the way, it makes you a lot more paranoid, a lot more anxious than people realize. I actually just did a podcast with Bill Maher yesterday where he was smoking weed the entire time. It's like secondhand inhaling this crap.
How was it?
Awful, actually. And look, again, if you privately want to do it in your own home, I guess you have a right to do it. But we are trending towards a society that is promoting and elevating series of substances that do not make you hyperproductive. Do you know what Donald Trump and Tucker Carlson and myself all have in common? We don't drink alcohol. We don't do any drugs. The most hyperproductive people that I find that are actually able to achieve stuff are not the ones that are like, you know, doing LSD or smoking dope. Like, yeah, I guess Joe Rogan is an exception to that. But like, I'll just be honest, guys, you're being sold a bill of goods if you think it's good for you.
Well, it's not necessarily like something that's like I would be taking for medication. Like, I mean, not me personally, because I don't have, you know, some sort of disease or like injury to where I would need to take that. But it's just sort of like a fun recreational thing for people to do.
Has it made the state of Washington a better place to live?
I wasn't old enough during.
No, it's fine. I mean, you know, again, I've seen states that were once really great, and I don't think weed has made it a better place to live. I just don't. You can say there's other factors. Of course, there's other factors, but
I don't think weed has actually had like that drastic of an impact. You know, it like hasn't.
I mean, again, more kids are doing it. We have more hospitalizations. We have more 13, 14-year-olds that are doing edibles. We have more people. By the way, it makes you very paranoid, and you can get a lot. It screws with your brain in a way that
if
people
you do in excess. Yeah, of course, everything in moderation. But,
again, you know, the right amount of weed is none, and the right amount of drinking is none.
Yeah.
You don't need to go through life medicated all the time. It's actually pretty awesome being sober.
Well, so I'm saying not all the time, but you know.
Yeah, again, I'm of the standard that we treat our society way too much like infants, and as if you need to always have a substance in your body where you can actually be really successful being sober.
Okay. Well,
so,
all right. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You have a great day.
Yes, we'll give him a hat. Let me see if I can get.
Oops.
Thank you. There you go. Hey, I almost got on his head. Yes, sir. Also, if you guys disagree, you guys can get worked through the line here. Yeah.
Just want to thank you for coming out here and answering all these questions to start off. My biggest problem with Donald Trump is I feel like throughout his political career, he's built it around just degrading, belittling, and insulting anybody who disagrees with him. I strongly believe that a house divided against itself cannot stand, and I think his approach to politics in the United States is making us more divided, and I think in the long term we will see repercussions for that.
Okay, what's the question?
Well, whether or not you agree with that assessment of that
I
situation.
don't. We won the election, so I mean, like, what is the relevant question, though?
Well, the relevant question is, do you think that approach to politics and where the stigma is right now is going to be dire in
No, I think it's
coming?
somewhat of a miscategorization. I mean, are there things that he says that I wouldn't say? Is there a style that he employs that I don't employ? You see how I do things. It's not always like that.
Right.
But can you acknowledge he also keeps his promises? That's pretty good, right?
Well, I mean, not necessarily all his property. The war was supposed to end on day one. The war didn't end on day one.
I mean, again, there is some political bravado to some of this stuff, but the border is secure, right?
Well, it's more secure now.
No,
yes.
it's totally secure. We have literally nobody coming across the southern border. I mean, so he in the first term he kept promise after promise after promise after promise, and so I guess what would you prefer someone like Donald Trump that has a style you don't like, or someone like George W. Bush that has a style you like and was a terrible, awful, lying president?
Well, it's less. I mean, the style is going to turn into big demonstrations that we see across the country, where it becomes vulgar and it becomes difficult to work with one another. I mean, if you look at kind of, I mean, you can pick January 6th, or you could pick riots on the left side.
You saw this kid that got punched by a professor here for wearing a Trump hat?
No. But
it's the other side doing it. We're not doing that.
But it's both sides. Well, okay, January 6th is an example of that happening.
Okay, how about something within the
also,
last 3 years? Anything within the last 3 years?
Within the last 3 years.
You can't name a single example
of
right-wing violence in the last 3 years.
I mean,
we're incredibly peaceful. No, seriously, you can't name an example.
But
I can name Tesla dealerships being burned, death threats every day against Tulsi Gabbard and President Trump. Oh, I don't know, President Trump getting shot on the 13th of July in Butler, Pennsylvania. So I just find it to be just a little bit like outrageous that, like, well, it's Donald Trump dividing the country. I know that he got shot. I know that they want to kill him. And I know that he's been keeping promises. I know that the left is, trying to murder us in the streets.
People. And I think that the stigma on both sides is just rising up. And I think that's as a result of the leader we have now. And also the final point, just on January 6th, just because January 6th happened 4 years ago opposed to 3 doesn't make it any less significant, this conversation.
Again, 90% of the people there did nothing violent. They walked into the Capitol. They said a prayer. They didn't touch a police officer. They didn't do anything with the windows. And if we want to talk about violence,
they did something with the windows.
Less than 10. Again, like there were like maybe 50 people that were violent there, and over 2,000 people got arrested or convicted. The largest manhunt in federal government history. But again, while we're talking about, I don't know, mass violence and all this, like, you remember the summer of 2020 where actually like material violent crime went up across the country? I know that you're not saying it's good.
I don't agree with
that. But I know, but it's just like, what exactly is your issue with Trump? He says mean things?
Well, I mean, yeah, to some extent.
I mean, come on, man. You're more mature than that. It's ridiculous.
No, but to some extent, what the thing is yeah, you can dumb it down to he says mean things, but he antagonizes the other side so far to the point.
Come on,
like,
how?
No, but it's how?
Yes, how?
Anybody who disagrees
the guy,
with him,
they shot him. Oh, he's antagonizing them.
That's
they try to put him in jail for 700 years. Oh, he's antagonizing them.
That's not what I'm saying.
No, show me examples. Tell me exactly how Trump is antagonizing the other side.
Well, it's not just the other side. It's Republicans as well.
Show me. No, come on. Where are your examples?
Okay, well, I mean, from the Republican side, just as a specific instance, at a 2015 Iowa forum with John McCain.
That's 10 years ago, man.
But he was 60-some-odd years old 10 years ago.
This is an outrageous claim. I mean, can you name anything within the last decade
that Donald Trump has done to divide the country?
Well, I mean, like, seriously, it's like, oh, he's antagonizing. Well, there was a thing in 2015 at an Iowa.
Okay, well, just take the debate then against Kamala Harris, a fear-mongering example where he's talking about illegal immigrants coming over and eating the cats and dogs.
Well, how does that antagonize the other side?
Because it creates a situation where it seems like what's going on is worse than it actually is. It's offensive to a lot of illegal immigrants that look at that.
Oh, it's offensive to the people that broke into our country. I'm sorry, leave. You broke into America. I'm sorry that we're offending you. I'm so sorry. You broke into our country and that you're here illegally. Did I offend you? You don't eat dogs? Okay, then go back to Mexico. Sorry.
I meant to say legal immigrants. I apologize.
No, it's fine. But I mean, at some point, like, you got to admit, man, like, you're going to like nitpick on things that Trump have said when he is up an existential force that is trying to destroy this country as we know it, that is trying to debase everything we care about. Joe Biden let 10 million people into this country with no idea who they were. How is that not high treason?
Well, I agree with you on the Biden administration's approach with the border was not the best, but then you can also point to when they really sat down and was like, okay, we need to make a bipartisan bill that's going to be able to...
We didn't need the bill, though. That's the thing. It was a scam. He closed the border in 10 days. So you're believing the media propaganda. Biden never needed a bill. It was a ploy. Donald Trump did it with no bill in literally a week.
Yeah, no, I understand. Well, yeah.
So then why did we need a bill?
Well, what I'm saying is that he tried to take strides to secure the border more, and Donald Trump...
That's a bunch of crap.
No, it's not. In the summer before the election, he pushed forward some policy working with Republicans that would secure the border. Donald Trump called him up and he said, listen, this is not going to be good for our election. Kill it.
That's not... Again, you believe so much of the media lies. In the bill, it would have allowed 5,000 people a day to come across the border. Do you know that was in the bill? And it turns out none of that bill was necessary because Trump just closed it on day one. Again, we didn't need a bill. We needed a new president. So I'm not even sure what to make of all this, except for the fact that, like, you instead should be coming up and be like, you know what? I'm so glad that we have President Trump fighting for us every single day, not nitpicking something he said 10 years ago at an Iowa forum. I reject the entire premise. I do.
All right.
I do.
And that's fair. I'm sure you do.
So judge him for what he does and how he does it, which is every single day deliver on the promises for the American people.
Yeah. Well,
Thank you very much.
disagree
Got to
with
get this
that.
question.
Thank you very much.
you. I'll try to throw in there. Any disagreements, guys, we can work through here. Yes. Yes, sir.
Hello there, Charlie Kirk. My name is Braden Lamb, and I just wanted to ask you one good question. Why should rapists benefit from spreading their genes into the gene pool?
Well, I don't think they should, but I think that human life deserves to be protected.
I agree.
It's not a reward for rapists. It's a universal human equality.
However, I don't think, while the child morally should not be punished, the rapist benefits automatically from having the child spreading their genes in the gene pool.
Okay.
Now, I say this because as a pre-med student, I have to keep an open mind about other people's beliefs, and this is one of the things I would have to do in pre-med is consider someone who believes in abortion versus my own standard beliefs. I believe that if someone is raped and they have a child by that rapist, that abortion should be an option, but it should not be the first answer. Do you agree or disagree with that?
I disagree. That's a fair opinion. Yeah, I mean, you have a right to that opinion, sure.
All right. You have any other thoughts on that, or is that about it?
That's about it. I think we've discussed that topic thoroughly today.
I have thoughts, though, as well. I just want to see that one tidbit.
Thanks.
You
want
mind
a
if I
hat?
have a
Yes,
white
sir.
hat for my sister?
Yes, sir. There you go. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Charlie
Yes,
Kirk.
next question.
Okay. Good afternoon. You touched on this earlier, but I wanted to go in deeper. I think all drugs should be legalized. I think you should go into like a Walmart or any convenience store and buy anything you want.
Okay. So how's that work in San Francisco?
Well, I think that's a different issue. That's out of the scope. I think drug usage is someone's choice. I think legalizing drugs is different. Than
So you
drug
think we
usage.
should be able to walk into Costco and get heroin?
Yeah.
Tell us more why you think that's a good idea.
I'm a libertarian, and I think we should just have access to anything I'd like anything that a man can create and cultivate. Why shouldn't I be able to?
Should you be able to have access to a thermonuclear bomb?
No, I think that's a bit
anything
extreme,
man
but-
created. Yeah.
I think that's a bit extreme, but
Okay, how about a howitzer?
I'm not familiar with that.
It's like a cannon.
Okay.
How about a rocket launcher?
Well, I don't know. I mean, that's like things
No,
of
these-
mass destruction, though.
Heroin is a drug of mass destruction, man.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna go. I knew you were gonna go with that.
Yeah, so but prove your
I
point.
think,
How about this? Do you think fentanyl should be sold easily and openly in Walmart?
Yeah, I do. I'm a believer that there should be free markets, and I think also the legalization of drugs would solve a lot of problems, right? Like
where has that ever worked? Portugal tried it and reversed it.
I'm not sure. I don't know all about this, but I think Amsterdam's a good.
No, I wouldn't say
guess,
that's a good example.
A good example. But I can't control what people do. I can't control what they do with their lives.
That's not true. You absolutely see the law is a teacher. That's not correct. When you make something illegal, it's harder to get, and usage rates go down. They don't disappear, but they go down. Okay. If all of a sudden you can get a Big Mac with a side of fentanyl, that's bad. That's dangerous. That's wrong. Because the law is a teacher.
But that's your choice, and we're taxing people on like sugar and alcohol. I think that's also an overreach. I just think the government's overreaching by legalizing.
You're far too absolutist in what you think is a choice. You believe in license. I believe in liberty. Liberty is the ability to do things that elevate, that grow, that prosper the human spirit. License to be able to do whatever dirty thing. Do you think prostitution should be legal?
I haven't really thought about it, but I don't really like prostitution in that.
But it's just two consenting adults. It's their choice, right?
Yeah, I guess like from a libertarian perspective, which I dabble with, I guess they'd probably think that's right. But morally, I don't think that's.
Do you like to spend time in cities where drugs are easily traded? Like, do you think Seattle is safe to go to downtown Seattle?
Okay.
Do you like spending time in downtown Seattle?
Yeah, I had an internship there, and the city's beautiful, and there's a lot of things to do. But
it was beautiful.
But I think, but again, that's their choice. I'm not, and I feel like we're infringing on people's just choice to do things. And you know what I mean?
No. Because you have to end up living in a society. You have to end up living in a culture. You have to walk your kids, hopefully, through a park to not have to avoid hypodermic needles. You have to.
That's drug usage again, though. I'm just talking about legalizing drugs.
No, I got it. You understand there's a correlation when you legalize it, drug usage goes up?
Yeah, I do. I understand that. I don't know. I think it's a lot safer. There wouldn't be as many overdoses. There wouldn't be fentanyl, and you could actually
There is zero evidence of this whatsoever, as exhibited by marijuana. Marijuana usage rates have gone up since we've legalized it. Therefore, if we legalize fentanyl, we legalize cocaine, drug use rates will go up. We should make it harder, not easier, to get substance that can kill yourself. By the way, how many people in rural Washington are overdosing from fentanyl? A lot. I'm sure a lot of you guys know friends that have overdosed from drugs in this part of the world.
But that's on spike drugs. Like if I were to buy cocaine and it's spiked with fentanyl,
No, you can overdose from cocaine. You absolutely can.
I know you can, but
on non-spiked cocaine, you can overdose from cocaine. You actually can. It's very possible. I know they tell you, oh, it's just fine. It just gives you a little bit of a high. Yeah. You could non-spiked drug. Almost every drug you can overdose on except marijuana that is non-spiked. Also heroin. Are you kidding me? I mean, LSD. Not exactly good for you.
Well, I think there's benefits and cons. There's pros and cons to everything. One thing I watched the Aaron Rodgers documentary on DMT, and I think that was very eye-opening and how that experience can benefit others. Like this alcoholic, went and did that experience, and now he doesn't drink. That's anecdotal, but.
Okay, I just encourage you to live out your own philosophy. You should have to go live in cities that don't treat that basically where all drugs are legal, like Portland and Seattle and San Francisco.
I don't think open I agree with you. I think you should be able to do it in private. I don't think open drug use should be right, and I think it should be, but it's not being enforced, right? So why should we let our cities be ransacked but not legalize it and make it safer and make it regulated?
There is no safe fentanyl. There is no safe heroin. Doesn't exist.
But pure heroin, if you sold it in a store, would be safe, right?
Again, not only can you still overdose, let's just talk the more moral. What an ugly society that would be if heroin is considered to be something commercialized. All of a sudden you're going to see heroin commercials. You're like, oh yeah, you think that your day is bad? It's okay. Go get a little bit of heroin at the local Walgreens. We laugh, but that's where we're headed? That's the society.
That's not where we're headed. You can keep living your life and living by your values.
The law is a teacher. The law should reflect morality.
Okay.
Definitionally. So, thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Can I get a hat?
Yes.
Do you mind signing it?
I'll sign it. Yeah.
Can I get the red one?
Okay. Thanks. Charlie. Yes. Other questions that disagree? Go to the front. Yeah. Yes. Go ahead.
Got it. Okay. All right, Charlie, you had done a show on a segment on your show about Governor Tim Walz. You know, it was funny, it was cute. He was looking at the excuse me. It was looking at his podcast appearance with Gavin Newsom. He said he wanted to get into a fight. It was just goofy jesting. And, you showed a video of him trying to shoot a shotgun. It didn't work out well, but I just figured
he didn't know how to load a shotgun.
There you go. So my point is, though, I figured as a political commentator, you would prefer to have a substantive discussion about the economic policies that he has passed. And I have some listed here. Forgive me, the list is a little long, but it has price tags on what it would be estimated to cost to implement these policies in the United States. And I just would like to get your opinion on a few of them. Free breakfast and lunch for kids, making sure that children can eat in school.
That's not what it
$20 billion per year.
Bad idea.
Legalizing marijuana, I've gotten your opinion on that. That's a net savings of $8 billion per year. Carbon-free electricity by 2050
Terrible.
costs $41 billion per year. We have 12 weeks paid family sick leave costing $45 billion.
Wait, is this what he did in Minnesota, or what he
That's correct. It's what he did in Minnesota, and these costs are the projected costs of what it would cost to implement these things.
Keep working through the list, and then I have a question.
Okay. So banning gay deconversion therapy, a savings of $9 billion.
No, it's an attack on freedom of speech. How does that save $9 billion? You got to explain that one. So banning freedom.
Having the deconversion therapy.
No. Explain. No. Don't just read out the piece. Explain to me. Use your reason how banning therapy saves $9 billion.
Let's go through the rest of the list. I'll come back to that point as well.
Okay.
Now, I still have a few more. Red flag laws, if someone says
against.
that if they want to shoot up a school, then the government has a right to confiscate that person's
That is
guns.
not what a red flag law is, for the
Okay.
record. A red flag law is that somebody, like a spouse who's in a dispute, could wrongfully accuse their husband who's a veteran, oh, he's violent or whatever, even though he isn't, and his rights get taken away. Or even worse, a husband can say it against his wife and she's not able to protect herself. Red flag laws are not that at all. And by the way, if someone says they're going to shoot up a school, they're going to get arrested. They're not going to have their guns taken away.
This has happened in the past, and they have.
Yeah, you know
not
who's
been
friends with
arrested.
school shooters? Tim Walz is friends with school shooters.
Everyone
that's what he
brings
literally.
up that point, but let's go.
Yeah, they bring up that
economic
point because
policy.
that's what he said.
So
He's like,
the-
I'm friends with school shooters.
the
That's
total
really
cost
creepy and weird.
of all of these are
You hear that? That's
$161 billion per year. Now, if it comes to
How is a red flag law save $61 billion a year in Minnesota? What is the GDP in Minnesota
It's not
like?
in the Minnesota cost. I'm saying that these costs added up for the entire United States to implement them, $161 billion per year on average. Right? There's some wiggle room there.
How would
and now
a red flag law
President
save you
Trump,
$161 billion a year?
everything collectively.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Yes,
got it.
everything collectively saves
Still, I don't believe it, but
161.
fine.
And everyone, I implore you, if you are in favor of those policies, please look up the price tags. But beyond that, President Trump has expressed the desire to increase the military budget, not keep it the same, but increase it from $850 billion to $1 trillion. That cost right there could fund all of these policies. And the Pentagon has failed 7 audits in a row now, not counting for 60% of the money that it spends.
I agree.
And so why can you justify an increase in spending to this agency?
I don't support more money for the Pentagon, but that's fine. That's President Trump's position, not mine. But just one very simple question. If Tim Walz was such a good governor, why is Minnesota losing population?
I mean, I know his net favorability rating is positive.
No, but if all this is so good, why are people net leaving Minnesota and going to other states? They're not flocking to Minnesota.
I fail to see if there's a direct correlation
Of course there is. People vote with their feet. They go to Florida, they go to Texas, they go to Arizona, they go to states that are rational and sane and that don't have tampons in boys' bathrooms.
I would think that a lot of the people in this crowd would be in favor of just tampons being more readily accessible.
In boys' bathrooms.
As far as I understand it, that point has been disproven.
It's not disproven. He's tampon Tim for a reason. They're in boys' bathrooms.
Now, again, if...
But yeah, they're here on campus, I think, in boys' bathrooms, too, yeah. So he's just not disproven. It's the liberal way. But no, you got to explain to me how, like, the gay conversion therapy, how that saves $9 billion a year. Like, what is that all about? That just sounds fake.
Well, there's the cost of maintaining these facilities, right? There's paying the employers who work at them. And
they're not funded by the government. These are private churches that do counseling. So how would like banning freedom of speech save $9 billion a year? It's on your list. It's like totally fake.
Even if that point is disregarded, what
How
about
does a red
everything else?
flag law save you money?
Less than $1 billion. Now,
But
again,
how? I mean, like this is just like a fake list you put together. There's like no.
any of the policies can be searched with minimal research to find price
I'm not
tags.
doubting that the policies exist. I don't understand how you could say they save money.
Some of them, only 2 out of that list. Now, everything else has a cost associated with it, right? And what I'm saying is that these things are within our spending abilities to implement. And if you don't agree with the policies, I mean, that's fine. Things like legalizing marijuana, for instance, popularity-wise, polls 60 to 70%.
It costs states more than anything else. It costs more in hospital room visits, costs more in police. It has cost Colorado
There
a
are
ton of
costs. There are costs, but there are net savings. As in, whatever money is generated, whatever revenue is produced, will outweigh those costs.
That has not borne it out. So do you think you're a big Tim Walz fan? I can tell.
Based on his policies, yes.
Okay, great.
And and as far as paying for them, I think the question that people usually mock in return to these ideas is how do we pay for it? How could we possibly pay for these things?
Actually, not a single one of those are good ideas that should happen.
12 weeks paid family leave?
Not by the government, no.
By who?
The employer. In fact, you know what? Turning
But they're
Point
not
USA.
incentivized.
Hold on. No, that's not true. We have 1,500 employees. We give 3 months full paid leave at Turning Point USA, and we are a micron of the size
And
of Microsoft or Nvidia.
And everyone applauds because that's the correct policy, right? That's the correct choice. So to have this available for other companies, that should be a net positive. And with the cost that associated with it, it's within our capabilities to spend it. It's a policy choice not to spend for it, which is what I disagree with.
Okay, thank you for your time.
Okay.
Are they still yammering over there? Jeez.
Can I move this? Thank you.
They're welcome to come up to the mic too, but
Okay.
they won't because they'll lose and they know. Yes.
Okay. So I wasn't going to come up here, but I heard someone talking about how abortions are important because it takes rape babies out of the population. And I just wanted to say that by saying that, they are wanting to take out very important people. 4 years ago, I was raped by my father, and I chose not to have an abortion, and this is what came out of it.
I'm very sorry that happened to you. That is incest and rape. And tell us your little one's name.
This is Jonah.
And Jonah's a miracle from God.
He is.
But it was a terrible thing that happened to you. What is your message to people that say babies conceived in rape are not human beings?
They are absolutely human beings. They are made individually by God, and they can do some very important things. I believe that he'll grow up and he'll help people, and based on all of our experiences, we can try and keep them from doing the same thing that their parents did.
Praise God. Jonah is alive because of your courage. And you turned something evil into something good. So God bless you, and thank you so much. Hi, Jonah. You want a hat, Jonah?
Yes, please.
God bless you. Thank you. Give it up for Jonah and them. That's really great, everybody.
All right, so I kind of have two questions at once. How do you support the Second Amendment on concealed carry and be anti-abortion? Because it's still taking a life. If you shoot someone in self-defense, you still took a life.
Okay, well, first of all, it's self-defense. Secondly, you know guns are used for other things.
Yeah, so that's why I say I have
And
two
an ownership,
questions.
you know, less than 1% of any gun owner will actually ever use their guns on another human being.
Right, that's why I say I have two questions, because I'm actually extremely pro Second Amendment, more than you, to the extent I believe that the main fighting force in America should be in the hands of the citizens, not in the government. So when the Founding Fathers wrote the Second Amendment, they didn't immediately go make an organized military. They left the guns in the hands of the people, and they just beat the British with personally owned firearms. And so if you can afford it, I think you should be able to have a tank sitting in your garage.
How about a thermonuclear weapon?
I would say not nuclear.
Why? How about, come on, man, people are the military. Why not nuclear weapons?
Because if you had it, so it was all in your, as the citizens that had the weapons, we wouldn't get into...
The citizens do have the weapons. That's first where you're wrong. Who's in charge of the military?
I guess that's a good point.
Yeah, we have a citizen-led military in this country. We do not have a military-led military. That's a distinction that is not always mentioned. The head of the military is a democratically elected individual by the people. Donald Trump never served in the military, yet he's in charge of the armed forces. Pete Hegseth, civilian. The people in charge, in fact, you can't serve to be head of the Department of Defense as a former general without a waiver from Congress. We have a civilian military. We do not have a separate military branch that there's permanently as a junta.
Yeah. I guess I was thinking, because if it was all citizen, like...
It is. That's the point. The commander-in-chief is a citizen by us. We do not have generals that just assume control of the U.S. government. It doesn't work that way. We're not Syria. We're not Libya. So your whole premise is wrong. We have a civilian-led military.
I guess I hadn't thought of that way. So... guess you answered my question. Thank you.
You for being honest.
Can I have a hat?
Yes, thank you. And I want to just elaborate on that. It's a very important distinction, everybody, that our military, we have a joint chiefs that can only advise on it. We do not have a permanent military class that is technically calling shots.
All right, what's up, Charlie, right?
Yes, I think I've met you before. Maybe I'm wrong. No,
I don't think so. I don't come to these types of things. But so a lot of liberal people say that Trump is authoritarian and different than any other president, right? And you disagree with that. So I was wondering, what's the smallest thing that Trump could do that would, be different and authoritarian, and a warning bell in your sign that it's undemocratic, Like, is it running for a third term? What is it?
So you want me to answer a hypothetical?
I want you to make a stance right now that you do as Trump. If Joe Biden did it, then it would be, and it can't be, something like, oh, if they took out all the Republicans.
If Donald Trump did what Biden did, which was trying to use the Justice Department to imprison someone that he was running up against, I would speak out against that.
Okay.
When Joe Biden used the Department of Justice to try to put Donald Trump in prison for 700 years, that's the thing that dictatorships are made of. And no one spoke out against it in the media. We acted as if this was normal. Okay, Trump's just going to go to jail for 700 years because he's running for office. Regardless of who's president, you should not lock up the dissident leader. If Bernie Sanders runs for president, we shouldn't try to put him in jail. If AOC runs for president, we shouldn't try to put her in jail. It's bad for the country.
Yeah, so like lock up crooked Hillary, that's like, yeah, like, I get it now. If you say lock up crooked Hillary, then that's like, trying to imprison your dissident, someone who's going against you.
Yeah, well, she lost, actually.
Yeah, okay, so if you win, then it's okay.
Well, no, actually, we didn't control the Justice Department at the time. You following?
Okay, yeah.
Right? Who was president in 2016?
Yeah, it was
Obama.
It was Obama.
Yes, when we said lock her up, that was a chant trying to say that someone who broke the law should be held accountable. There was no Justice Department that we controlled. It was Obama. Instead, you have to do you think it was wrong that Trump was hunted down by Biden's Department of Justice for 4 years? Can you disavow that?
Can you say that Joe Biden himself ordered all of that?
Yeah, it was Merrick Garland, who's his attorney general. It's his government. It wasn't like a separate branch of government. So can you say that was wrong? That is dictator stuff. That is third world stuff. Can you say that? Yes or no? Can you say that that was wrong?
Come on, man. I heard that. Well, I hope you all have a good night.
No, was it wrong that they tried to put Donald Trump in federal prison for hundreds of years?
I think that they had genuine concerns. That's my point.
So you're a defender of a dictatorship. Here you come up, be like, oh, what can you say about Donald Trump being an authoritarian? You're a defender of authoritarian practices. So the hallmark characteristic of an authoritarian government is we are going to put the person who is not in political power while we hold political power in jail. They're doing it to Bolsonaro right now in Brazil. Even Putin does it to dissidents in Russia. They do it in China. And yet, you won't even say, nah, this is wrong. This is weird. This is not good.
So Joe Biden's a dictator?
Of course he was. Okay. He had authoritarian tendencies in this regard. His entire government did. To say that we're going to lock up the guy that's about to become president, we're going to use the justice system as a way to cheat, that's stuff to the third world. And we should agree that's wrong, right?
Okay, I will say one more thing. I think that saying, the president beforehand was a dictator is not going to be good for the future health of this country because we voted for him.
What is incorrect with what I'm saying? Is it not a hallmark characteristic of third world dictatorships to use the system of criminal justice to put those people in jail? We march in the streets against Putin when he does it.
And Joe Biden is the same as Putin, yeah?
In that regard, absolutely. Yes, in that regard, actually, yes.
All right, Liddy, I hope you have a great night. I mean that sincerely. I do not think...
So you will not condemn Joe Biden or anyone for trying to put Trump in jail?
I don't think that Trump or Joe Biden has done anything for me as a U.S. citizen to see them as a dictator.
Okay, fine.
And I think that political separation is because of people like you, Joe.
Yeah, okay. Let's say that in the mic, coward. Thank you very much. Yeah.
I think that political separation is because you make your money off of your organization, which says Trump, Trump, Trump.
Okay, then.
I love you. Have a good night, everyone.
Can you answer one more question?
Let's go, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, exactly. Yeah, you don't get to keep that. Okay.
Get him into him.
Can you agree that it is...
No problem, man.
It is wrong to put your political opponents in jail?
I believe it is wrong, and we saw that right before he got elected, that they said, turn it all off. I think that we should have had a much deeper investigation.
Okay, thank you very much.
Have a great day.
Yeah. Who wants a hat, everybody?
All right, I had a question about, I'm Tyler, by the way. I had a question. My girlfriend and I have differing political beliefs. We voted differently. We're both Christians. We have a lot of the same beliefs about how humans should be treated, abortion, that type of thing. But identity politics a little bit, not liking candidates based on their personality versus their policy kind of divided us. Also, prioritization of policies. So she's a little more foreign helping. And I think we should be more focused domestically right now with the damage we've, taken on the last 4 years. So how should we handle our relationship when we have a lot of the same values but differing political beliefs?
It's a really good question. So would you say that even outside of Trump, would you still largely agree on politics or no?
I think so. There's a little bit, I think that kind of plays into the identity piece. She tends to think that Trump's anti-immigrant, where I say he's anti-illegal immigrant.
Outside of Trump, do you think that she would vote more Republican than Democrat?
I don't think so, just based off of the foreign aid piece.
Do you want the truth?
Yeah.
Do not marry this girl.
Okay.
Do not marry someone that you cannot talk about the daily news with. You guys can laugh at it. Do not build a life with somebody where you cannot agree on what daily news channel to watch. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, we can talk about it, and we agree that a lot of the mainstreams on both sides.
You have to agree on it. I'm telling you right now, as someone who is married, when you have to instill values in a child, you cannot have the first elemental issue at 7 a.m. when you turn on the radio or a podcast to be disagreement. You got enough of that already in a home.
Yeah.
You need to have harmony.
Can I ask you specific issues? We agree on abortion.
Good.
We've talked about immigration, and I've said, Trump's not anti-immigrant, he's anti-illegal immigrant, and we need to protect our own citizens, and we do need to bring in people from other countries, but only when we can actually give them opportunities. And we agree on that type of thing. So what would be dividing beliefs?
Well, I asked what was the revealing? I asked, would she vote more Republican than Democrat? And you said, again, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you said not really.
Yeah.
And again, I'm only saying build a life with someone where you have agreement on the macro issues. You can have disagreement on the micro issues. You need to agree on religion. You need to agree on eternity. You need to agree on political matters. You could disagree on what type of food you like. That's micro. Yeah. You could disagree on bedtime. Right? You could disagree on the type of cars or where you vacation. That is micro. Macro, you must be in alignment. And understand, let's just say, for example, you're raising a child. And she's like, hey, you take the son in the morning and then he'll be with the mom. Is that kid going to hear two different things? A house divided can't stand. And so that's the point, is that there must be harmony, because if all of a sudden, for example, your wife will be like, well, Trump is XYZ, and you say, well, no, he's actually this. At some point, it's like they'll look and they'll say, well, there's disunity there. So I'm a big believer in macro agreement. I'm not trying to rock your world here, but do not try to change your girlfriend or your future fiance or wife politically. It does not work.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now.
This would actually be a good segue. So I was going to come here to Wazoo. I go to Spokane Falls Community College. I didn't want to live the party life, the college frat life, and I didn't want to be influenced by liberal universities. I wanted to kind of just work and go to school. And I think a big piece of her political beliefs, I hear her, she has an open mind to what I say, and she starts to agree with things. I think a lot of her life has been influenced by having two liberal parents, and then now she's in school.
Do not marry this girl. You do not want liberal in-laws. You do not want this. I'm telling you, run away, find somebody else. In-laws are very important. I'm telling you right now, as someone who's married with 2 kids, in-laws become embedded. You almost inherit them as pseudo-parents. And if all of a sudden you're going to be like, oh, here's Thanksgiving, here's Christmas. You should be excited about Thanksgiving. You should be excited about it, not begrudging against it. And so if you want warfare in the family, because here's the sad truth. You want the more blunt truth?
Why not?
Is she have a good relationship with her dad?
Yeah.
She'll side with him over you. Every time.
Yeah, and
she will leak to her parents against you if all of a sudden she feels as if the politics is going under the marriage. Her first love is her dad, and if she has a good relationship with her dad and she feels as if that you're bringing bad ideology in there, I'm sure your mind is turning a little bit because you might have seen some examples of this. she will go back to the liberal parents against you, and you'll be on an island.
Yeah. And I say she has an open mind, like I don't want to put her under the stereotypical liberal. And
I'm not saying that.
I will say it's
parents matter, though.
Yeah, but with her dad, I'll just like give you this anecdote. Her dad knows how I voted, and and he's a pretty strong advocate against Trump. He hasn't ever brought it up to me. We've had a good relationship, and she has called out her dad for not having enough of an open mind, and she says that, I'm torn between you two, and I think you should be less hateful.
I know. I'm telling you, though, tie goes to the runner, which means tie goes to the biology. Mm-hmm. And because it's unfair for her to choose, which one or the other one. You might think like I'm generalizing. This comes from over 10 years of seeing and doing this, that political agreement is a necessary foundational element when you want to try to build a family.
Got it.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
You got a lot to pray about and wrestle with. Thank you. Yes, sir. Thank you. I love my in-laws. My in-laws are great. They're all MAGA.
All right, so that green shirt guy from a little while back got me thinking, how in your mind can someone be a dictator when they willfully gave up their office?
I mean, you can act like a dictator. And Joe Biden didn't even know he was president, right? For him, he might still think he didn't sign any documents. This guy's a joke, right? And by the way, dictators give up power a lot. Bashar al-Assad willingly gave up power in Syria. So that's a bad example.
Well, not necessarily. A dictator implies that there's assumed power there that they have absolute control over.
Not necessarily. Again, what I was saying is that, let me be even more clear.
Yep.
When you use the legal apparatus to go after your political opponent, that is acting like a dictator.
In what way?
Because there's a dissident, Donald Trump, that's about to encroach on your power, and you're cheating. You are using what should be impartial justice as a way to favor, as a way to give yourself an advantage.
So how was the justice impartial when the warrants used to search his Mar-a-Lago mansion were in fact issued by an impartial, neutral judge?
Okay, search warrants are very different than indictments, but we shouldn't be searching Trump's residence in the first place. Former presidents should be off limits, period. Unless they're doing something, I don't know, like flying to Epstein's Island, then you actually don't get anything wrong that happens to you. So it's like, the point being is that we shouldn't be going after former presidents.
Well, can former presidents not engage in corruption then?
Of course they are, but we didn't go after Bill Clinton on the Clinton crime initiative for this exact example. It sets a bad precedent.
Well,
we didn't go after Bill Clinton for Epstein Island for this reason, because it sets a bad precedent.
Shouldn't we set a good precedent, though, by going after the former presidents who are in fact corrupt?
No, actually, because almost every president is corrupt, and we as a country have never done this before. We basically say these are largely off limits because it will be so divisive and destructive. People want to know why the country's so divided. They tried to put Donald Trump in prison for half a century. What does that do to the country? It's an insult to all of us. As if, oh, you guys are going to have a voice. So sorry, we're going to go lock him up in prison. It doesn't take a lot of schooling to know that that's cheating. That's unfair. That is not playing by the rules.
Well, to be fair, right? It's not necessarily not playing by the rules, because it wasn't Biden himself that issued that order. It was a Biden-appointed judge.
It was his person. No. It was Merrick Garland that orchestrated the whole thing. And Merrick Garland reported to who? To Joe Biden.
Yeah, but they still have their own unique opinions and ideas.
Merrick Garland cannot do something that's not in harmony with the president, period.
Well, no, that's not true, because judges are supposed to be impartial.
Not judges. DOJ. He's the Attorney General of the United States.
But that's still that's someone who's supposed to be impartial. And
no. The AG is not impartial. That's not true. The AG is the top law enforcement officer of a president. The president can order cases to be dropped, increased, decreased.
That's the thing, is the Department of Justice can't have an opinion on a case, but the president can stop the case, right? Like, the president has power to put things to an end, but he doesn't have the power to start things within the DOJ.
Yes, he does. You're wrong. He just did that with Miles Taylor. That's not correct. The president, the full authority over the Attorney General's office. DOJ is completely under the authority of the President of the United States. It's not its own branch. It's not. But by the way, tell me, what branch of government is it then? What article of the Constitution the DOJ
judicial
under?
branch.
No, it's not actually.
Yeah,
it's in Article.
Department of Justice.
Dude, you understand? The DOJ is in Article 2. Okay, the judicial branch is in Article 3. How many articles of the Constitution are there?
Hell if I remember. Dude.
Yes, 7. Right, exactly. So The judicial branch is Supreme Court, District Court, Circuit Court. The Department of Justice is the law enforcement of the second article, the executive branch. That is why the president appoints the head of the Department of Justice.
But that's the thing, though, is justice is blind, right? Justice is supposed to be neutral. So in a...
You're saying seriously because you don't even know the branches of government, to be honest. So like it's like, let me just make this as simple as possible. They tried to prevent Trump from being president by putting him in a prison cell. That is wrong, and it should never happen again. Thank you very much. Let's get to the next question.
Awesome. Yeah. Hi, Charlie.
Great. Come on the line.
So I got this little pin from TPUSA. It says freedom of speech, not censorship of speech. And I guess my question for you is, how is that consistent with what Donald Trump's been doing, threatening to remove certain press organizations from the White House press room?
Yeah, I mean, they're still able to speak, right? He didn't prevent them from being able to publish articles. Being in the press room is a privilege, not a right. Can you and I get in the press room?
No. But
why?
Because we aren't working for CNN.
Okay,
or
no.
AP.
Oh, CNN has special rights that we don't have? What rights does CNN have that we don't have?
If it's a major news network,
Oh, a
it's
major
Fox, NBC.
What is, no, hold on, that's not correct. The president has full authority to decide who gets into the White House or not. You do not have a right to go to the White House. You do not have a natural right. You have a right to publish what you want on your website. The president didn't sign an executive order telling the AP that they can't write what they want to write. It's saying that if you're going to behave in a certain way, you're not allowed on White House grounds.
Sure,
Period.
but he's restricting their access.
So that's not restricting speech.
So you think that that it should be okay to restrict access?
Yeah, of course. If you act in a certain way, if you act like a jerk, you leak stories, you're belligerent, you're aggressive, you have lost the right to go on White House grounds, period.
And do you think that Fox News was doing that to Biden, but he didn't kick them out of the White House?
Okay.
So I guess, like, why do you think, what should the grounds be for getting kicked out of the White House?
Breitbart, he kicked out OAN, he kicked out Real America's Voice. What are the grounds? Every president can determine it. It is at the sole duty of the president. It would be one thing if President Trump signed an executive order saying, CNN, you can't say this. That would be a violation of freedom of speech. It's very simple. It's access. Access to the White House is a privilege, not a right. You have to apply for it. To get on White House grounds, you have to behave a certain way. You have to hopefully dress a certain way. You have to be with a certain honorable understanding that you don't run the White House. You cover the White House. And if you act like a jerk, you might get kicked out of the White House.
So what do you think the Associated Press has been doing wrong to get kicked out of the White House?
In that specific instance, they decided to not use official government terminology, which was the Gulf of America.
Right. The official terminology that just got changed.
That's how it works.
Well, personally, I think that if you are a major press organization, you should be allowed to have that
Just so we're clear,
access.
Joe Biden used billions of dollars to fund actual censorship of Americans' rights to speak. The Joe Biden White House went after anybody who questioned the efficacy of the COVID vaccine. Joe Biden's personal White House went out to Twitter and Facebook trying to silence anyone for saying that. Thank you for your time. I got to get to the next question. Thank you. Okay. Thank you.
Let me just get my girls 1 sec. I'm talking.
How many people we got here?
We're 3, but they're
Okay.
just my entourage.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. Don't worry about that. Girl, get the middle. Thank you.
Be more respectful. Come on.
Oh, they're my girls. I'm always respectful. Anyways, I have a big quick question is about private colleges. Why should they be able to bend to the rules of Donald Trump when they get to decide their curriculum? I know I started off with my college. Oh, sorry about that. I started my college career in a private university on Lacey, like St. Martin's, and they're a big Catholic university where they get to decide their own curriculum, their own way of teaching, and especially it was religious. And so now Harvard is being struck with a bunch of deals where they're not allowed, they're being withheld $2 billion worth of research funds, or was it 200 million? I'm sorry if I'm, 2 billion, right? Thank you, sorry. But they're a private university. Why should they bend to the knee because they're private? I get why public universities, because we're funded by the government. But why should private universities bow to the knee of the president?
Well, first of all, private universities receive a lot of government money too, through federal student loans called FAFSA, right? So
Yeah.
FAFSA is all federal student loans. Secondly, that's taxpayer money that is being sent to Harvard, $2 billion. Thirdly, Harvard has a $50 billion endowment. They can pay for their own research. We don't need to be financing research at Harvard when they're sitting on a $50 billion cash pile.
Okay. But at the same time, it is like a private university. Like, even with if it's like Catholic or not Catholic, because I know Harvard's not like a religious school, right?
Well, it used to be, but not
It used
anymore.
to be, not anymore. Like, I went to a fully religious Catholic college.
But I bet they still took federal money. You use
Little
FAFSA?
bit. No, we use WA, FAFSA.
Yeah, FAFSA.
Yeah, WESFA.
Okay, yeah, again, FAFSA. Yeah, so that's federal money.
Yeah.
So the idea of a private school is actually a very questionable idea.
But why can't we teach different ideologies at different times? I'm not combating, like, whatever your ideology or whatever behind me's ideology is.
That's fine. Harvard can do it at once. We as taxpayers don't have to finance it. That's the question.
Yeah, but at the same time, you don't have to finance it, but why is there going to be so much backlash behind it? Why do we must combat them? If they want to teach their way, so be it. There is such a problem with people constantly combative. Can't we just have a problem where we can disagree and then
What was your question? Is anyone following this? I'm not. Yeah.
No. Girl, I was expedited. I'm just trying.
It's all good. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Can I get a hat?
Okay, sure.
Thank you.
You're very polite. Thank you. All right, thank you. Nice to meet you, Entourage.
I got expedited. I didn't want to be over here. So
weird. All right, what we got here? We'll go about 15, 20 minutes, then we'll give out all these hats. How about that, everybody, huh? And we'll sign some stuff. Yeah.
Hi. I have a loaded question for you about gun control, pun intended. I know that you are anti-gun control for some of the previous comments that you've made, including one of the Nashville comments that you wrote a little while ago, you were interviewed on. I personally think that gun control should be a bit more restricted and tight, because of a personal experience that one of my siblings had at their school, where somebody brought a gun to their school and nobody was shot, and they were able to get the kid off the premises, and my siblings were okay. But it was really scary thinking about the fact that I was over here and they were over there, and I couldn't do anything about that, and that it even happened at all. And I'm not super well versed in gun politics, but I've recently taken an interest in it because of that incident. I just want to know what your opinions are on that.
Great, thank you. I'm sorry that happened to your family. So do you think, and it's not a trick question, do you think gun ownership is a privilege or a right?
I think it is a privilege.
That's where we disagree. So I think it's a right for people to be able to defend themselves with a firearm. And so because of that, I tend to favor looser gun restrictions.
I think it's a privilege because having a gun means you're able to easily take a life, even if it is in self-defense. And with that it is a responsibility. Things that are a responsibility are, for me, inherently a privilege to have.
Okay, yeah, so we just disagree. We think that it's a right for the American people to be able to arm themselves in some, let's just say, some understandable capacity, and that would be the ownership of firearms.
Okay, so do you think that the current laws that are restricting gun control are good enough?
Well, it depends on what state and what context. I would actually think we need less gun laws, not more in certain areas.
How so? Which areas are you referring to?
Chicago and Washington. I can't imagine. It's probably pretty hard to own a gun in Washington, right? So I guess, and if I can ask, where did that incident happen?
Vancouver, Washington, actually.
Okay. So that is southwestern Washington, right across the border of Portland, right?
Yes.
Is that right? Yeah. Great, beautiful spot. So if I could ask, so Washington has very strict gun laws, so does Oregon. That didn't prevent that kid from getting the gun or bringing it to school, right?
I suppose not, no.
So it's something to think about, right?
Yeah, it is.
No, I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I'm saying
okay.
that at times gun control does not work the way that you hope it works. I do not want to see people that should be in mental institutions own weapons. The problem is that it is an overly used distinction where there's a lot of great veterans that get wrongly diagnosed with PTSD and their Second Amendment rights get taken away from them. And finally, I'll say is that I think you as a woman should be able to have an equalizer, which is a gun, to be able to defend yourself against someone that might wish harm with you. So
I do agree with that aspect. Good. I also think that this kind of relates a little bit to private citizenship for like military use and gun use, because I think that from what I know, I don't know a lot, so you can correct me if I'm wrong, that their regulations for gun ownership is different than just owning one as a normal citizen.
What state or what country?
In America.
Okay.
Yeah.
Say that one more time. I'm sorry.
Private military-owned corporations that hire civilians with gun rights. Sorry, that's a really long.
Yeah, I don't know actually. So you're asking, I'm not sure. So
private corporations that hire, they're not called mercenaries. They're more like security guards or. with guns.
Yeah, I mean, look,
it's kind of hard to word it.
you can get your hands on some pretty sophisticated weaponry here in this country. But I got to get to the next question. Thank
Okay,
you for that.
sorry.
I encourage you to read a book. It's called Gun Saves Lives.
Okay.
All right?
Yes.
You promise me? All right, thank you. Here's your hat. Yes, you get a red one. Thank you very much. Want me to sign it? I'll sign it. God bless you. Thank you. Thank you for your question. Thank you. We'll do a couple more. Yes.
Thank you very much for letting me come up here to speak today. Much appreciated.
Were you the one that was yelling?
Yes,
Okay.
that was me. I was hoping. I'm not technically a student, but I do know a lot of the student body, talk politics with them discreetly on my personal time, and I do want to bring up an important topic which I think is worth debating. But before I do that, I'd like to start out with talking about the rugby team. Sounds like we got a fundraiser coming up here shortly. I'd like to pledge the first $100 to that rugby team fundraiser. And in addition to that, to the rugby team, I will be reaching out to you. Please pay attention if the rugby team is willing to let me host this event. I'd like to host your fundraiser this week to get you your funds for the event.
And we're matching it.
Yes, and I'll make sure that anything's included.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
But I will reach out to you. I'm going to throw a big party. You're all going to be invited as long as you're willing to support the rugby team. Fall for them. If they're willing to work with me on that, they'll do an announcement. Thank you.
Thank you.
If there's anyone with the rugby team, I'll talk to you soon.
We're running out of time. What's the question?
My biggest concern, honestly, is in my country, since I've been paying attention over 20 years now, the biggest problem with why I see so much division in the country and the world is based on the fact that our Western traditions, both secular and religious, have accepted and tolerated lies, mostly from our intelligence agencies. And, obviously, Jesus, if you're going from a first preference, Jesus was very apparent on lying and that he is the truth. And that on the secular side, with liars, there is no truth that can really be figured out. My main problem is our intelligence agencies have been known to lie for us, especially our domestic CIA, but also more on what I think the debate topic should be today is the fact that we are deeply allied with Mossad, an intelligence agency that is very, very specifically, their strategic intelligence focus is war by deception. And to me, that is the most anti-Western motto that we could ever be allied with, to the point where I do expect, like most lies do, will rot the core of this country out, as is already done with the division that we see on a daily presidential cycle or daily, weekly presidential cycle. My debate
What's
for
the
you
question, man? You got it, yeah.
Yeah, my question is, will you denounce Mossad's tactic of deception by war?
Well, not necessarily. I mean, we used a lot of deception in World War II, didn't we? I mean, for example, I'll give one of hundreds of examples I could give. Do you know we deceived the Nazis thinking that we were going to invade at a different choke point on Normandy Beach? We deceived the Nazis. Was that wrong to do that? You know, we did inflatable tanks on the southeastern coast of England, which threw off the Nazis. That was deception, and we won the war.
I understand there's deception in tactics.
Okay, fair enough. So educate me on what you're talking about.
But deception in mission statement, value, and purpose is a completely different strategic level. That is
Is that really? I don't know enough about it.
For those lies.
I don't know enough about it. Is that the mission statement of Mossad?
That is the motto of Mossad.
Okay, I didn't know that. So what is the question then?
My question is, will you denounce if
I'd have to learn more about it. I mean,
to validate. Obviously, I don't like pushing people on facts they can't see.
Yep.
But do you denounce that?